Say Sitch here with not a Sunday stream, but a Wednesday debate. That's right. The Democrat Titans are at it again, or at it again for the first time ever in the very first debate. Who will win? Who will lose? But more importantly, what does everyone's favorite Adam friended forever believe? And also, NuanceBro will be joining us later. Adam, what's going on?
I love debates. I think it's awesome. I got my tie on. I'm ready to. I'm in full pundit mode. I noticed this jackwad on the screen though, has his sleeves rolled up. I don't. What's up with this rolled up sleeves nonsense?
No. I disagree. That's like a good look. The sleeve you got the business shirt on with the tie, got the sleeves rolled up. You're like, I'm a man of business. I know what's going on. I'm hard working. I'm sweating.
This guy hasn't sweat a day in his life.
The pants, though, the pants are bad. That's a bad color. I don't know what the fuck's going on there.
I was doing construction at 6 o'clock this morning. Okay, this guy.
Oh, you were?
Like this guy looks like he has soft hands. Let me just.
You're a day laborer, Adam.
I literally was doing construction. Like I will send you photographic evidence. I was doing construction.
I'll believe it when everyone. This is an Adam lore. Okay, you didn't know this. Adam is really a day laborer. By day, he labors alongside his brethren, making little houses, and at night he debates atheists on the internet.
I had a meeting with Caffeinated Tweaker at 11 o'clock. Doesn't that sound awful? It's like, yeah, I had a meeting with Caffeinated Tweaker.
That sounds awful.
And that's when I really got going. That's when I really got going. As soon as I hooked up.
There you
go. I had a meeting, and I had already been doing construction before that meeting took place. But I talked to her about the construction, so she can verify.
Okay. Well, I maybe will believe it if CT. She's not verifying it. She just says fuck you too. So therefore, I'm right. You're wrong. But anyway, more importantly, who's going to win the debate?
Who are we up against? You really liked Pocahontas. You were thinking Pocahontas was going to come out.
Wait a minute.
With her tomahawk.
This is slander. How dare you slander me on my own channel? How fucking dare you? We were just okay. This is what's going on in chat. We were making fun of Elizabeth Warren's voice.
I wasn't.
Before the stream started.
She's a progressive hero in my book. What are you talking about?
Elizabeth Warren, she has the old lady, her voice like, I'm going to get you all, tax-free for everybody. She's got the wavering voice. And I was saying that the old lady wavering voice, people aren't going to vote for it.
Did you ever see
I'm for Gabbard on tonight. I mean, I'm for Yang Gang 2020. But he's not debating tonight. He's debating tomorrow. So
I'm for Gabbard too. We actually have Shu on another channel here. We have Shu stream in the background.
Oh, do you have Shu stream up?
She was a big Tulsi Gabbard fan. Look, she's got Tulsi 2020.
Right.
She's already diving in with Tulsi. She's looks like I'll have to bill her for the laser eyes she's got going here.
There you go. Cop laser eyes trademarked, friend forever. So wait, let's see where they're at.
In Iowa, first primary. So February is going to produce some clarity in terms of who's a contender. Super Tuesday, mega primary. That could give us some real answers potentially.
Who thought vomit-colored pants?
Oh, I know.
Were a good idea.
Horrible.
Like, come on.
Yeah. Black and white. We're classy here. We look straight out of Pulp Fiction. We look badass, man. This is like, we're ready to rock and roll.
Right. That's right. We're ready to take a briefcase and shoot up a diner.
Yeah, we'll tell you who won.
Symbolically, of course, metaphorically. It's not we're advocating for violence, Google.
In early March.
Washington feels more chaotic
9 seconds away.
It's my job to ask the tough questions, left and right, and help you make sense of it all.
I love these commercials. It's like, oh, I'm so authoritative.
Throughout the years, many candidates have taken to the
I've never
primary
seen this lady in
debate
my life.
stage to try and sell their message to the American people. While some of them have succeeded, others faded into the background, or they made critical faux pas. In this installment of our series, Now and Then, Dasha Burns digs into the NBC News archives to find what stood out from debates of the past and how the media-anointed winners fared in the actual election.
Let's put the historical lens on presidential debates.
So, okay, forget that. This is boring. Who gives a shit about this? So, Trump handily won all the primary debates last election, right?
Yeah, pretty much. He made him look ridiculous.
I mean, the thing that always stands out in my mind is that moment where he got Jeb Bush to fist bump him. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
It looked so bizarre because it's like Trump just holds his fist out like normally, like he just looks like a normal individual, and Jeb is like he's like never fist bumped a person in his life, and he smiles and he like charges his fist up and it's like shaking and he just kind of like goes like eh. Like it looks so bizarre, so weird.
Your audio keeps cutting out a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is painful.
Well, maybe I'll restart my computer. If you want.
No, don't do that. Come on.
Can you go without me, Adam?
No, I'm gonna set you to. I'm gonna set you to audio only on my end.
Huh?
I'm gonna set your bandwidth to audio only on my end. So
now
come on, I'm the director now. I'm like a producer here.
Right.
I do all the work on these. I want you to know. See these fancy graphics? I want a pat on the back.
Yes, everyone should know everything about the streams, the thumbnails, the visuals. It's all 100% Adam. The only thing I do is show up.
He does send me the key, and occasionally he opens the watch together window.
Occasionally. It's all Adam's work.
So what do you think? Are there going to be some big moments? Who's going down in this one? Elizabeth Warren, like Biden is going to Biden is tomorrow night. Is Biden tomorrow? Okay. Tomorrow. Who do we got? Pull the lineup up and list the lineup.
It's in the description of the YouTube video. So
I don't have that up though. So
like Beto, I think Beto's going to do terribly.
Beto, yes, obviously.
Yes. We got Bill de Blasio, who I don't know. I've never seen him debate, so I have no idea how he'll do.
Don't even know what he looks like.
That's the New York City mayor.
I'll be judging a lot of these on just physical appearance.
You know, it's pretty bad when like the most notable thing I can think of for Bill de Blasio is that he's married to a black lady and has mixed children. Like that's the only thing I know about him. Yeah.
These Democratic debates, they got to have something like that to go in, right? I mean, that's where we're at.
He's too white and male, but he's married to a black lady, so there's some points right there.
Yeah.
We got Ohio Representative Tim Ryan, who I've never heard of until today.
Yeah. Don't know what he looks like. I'm gonna have to go to the thumbnail.
Yeah. You made the thumbnail. You don't know what he looks like.
Oh, I just pulled up a picture. I'm like, oh, here they all are. Look at them.
We got like
Gabbard.
Julián Castro, who I do like.
Oh yeah,
or maybe I like his brother. I don't know, one of those guys I like.
He did a speech at the Democratic National Convention that was pretty good.
Yes,
I do remember him.
Yes, that's 100% correct. We got Cory Booker, who I liked until recently. I haven't liked him recently.
Because he kind of went on the racist rant thing, didn't he?
Right. Like it seemed like when he was on the state level, it was all like, oh, I'm all about policy and ideas. And then when he became on the national stage, he's all like racism and politics and Trump bad. It's like, okay.
They're kind of forced to buy into this racist orthodoxy, aren't they?
They are. It's different. That's why I see it's a problem. I could never be a politician.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, that's bullshit. Oh, what? I'm out of the race. Oh, well, that didn't last long. Jesus.
Oh, I'm just thinking like I'm going to be in the room and all the other people in my political party are going to be like, they're going to concoct some plan to do something political. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, you have to do that. Everyone else is doing it.
I think NuanceBro joined our room.
What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. Just trying to, let me see.
Reporting from here on the ground, we began tonight would lead the story.
It works.
It works. So yeah, we were supposed to have NuanceBro on our stream like a year ago. And he couldn't, he ditched us. He ditched us. And then after that, I was so upset. I just never.
What are you talking about? It's not ditching. You invited me and I said I'm on vacations. Can't make it.
That's good.
I'm just joking. No, you couldn't make it for some reason. And then I was like, okay, next time. And then we just kept forgetting. But some fortunate soul on Twitter reminded me. So I said, okay, tonight's the night. We're going to get NuanceBro into the damn stream. And here you are.
Yeah. Thinking, I was like, maybe I should do a stream. And I was like, no, everybody and their mom's doing a stream. So I might as well just join one of yours.
Exactly. There you go. No work. You can just sit here and commentate. And watch
for that
the
lane.
spectacle.
So I think that there is an opening.
It's not starting.
I don't know. We have June's stream up as well.
4 minutes.
So we can judge.
June's on her phone. Well, we want to see the competition. I want to know. Are we doing this right? Let's see.
Who are you rooting for? Or Nuance?
Well, in this debate, let's see.
Yeah.
In this debate, I think there's only Tulsi who I think is like okay. So, yeah.
You don't like Elizabeth Warren? You don't like Pocahontas?
Nah, not a big fan.
My God.
Did you ever like Elizabeth Warren? Because I used to really like her a lot, but then
no.
She did. But I mean, I'm talking before Bernie. She was like a fiery progressive.
No, I remember when she first came onto the scene, and I was never a fan.
You're like, white women, not interested.
Well, Native American. But...
there you go.
She used to talk about the middle class a lot before the race.
I mean,
thing.
so does every politician. They all talk about middle class. It's like the biggest voting base.
Not so much anymore, though. I feel like the identity politics have taken over for the middle class talk.
Well, you could say it's the biggest potential voting block.
Right.
Well, it is in actuality.
Yes.
Right, but I mean, they don't all vote together. That's, I think, is what Adam's saying.
No.
Well, yeah.
Exploding Printing for $5 says, I'm rooting for the tributes from District 8. Hopefully they will avoid the cornucopia. That thing is a death trap. Thank you very much, Exploding. Chad Fitzgerald for $5 says, Friended in Sitch, how will you spend your $1,000 a month?
I can't say, or we would get demonetized.
You're gonna build more houses with your $1,000 with your day labor friends.
I said in the chat in the very beginning, I said I was going to donate it to my personal green fund.
I'm
in
wink,
California where
wink, wink.
where certain recreational behaviors are completely legal.
There you go.
So,
well, I'm just gonna blow mine on Coke and Horse. So I don't know what Adam's talking about, but Man Faces World for $2. What woke buzzwords will we hear? There's gonna be what's your prediction on woke
question.
buzzwords?
I'm gonna write some woke buzzwords down.
We should have done a woke buzzword.
Privilege. We should all get a drink on. The word privilege, maybe problematic.
Yes. I'm wondering if there's going to be a lot of Trump-Russia talk or if they're going to kind of
Russia.
divert away from that.
Russia is a good one.
Election interference.
How much substance are they going to be talking about? I'm going to be looking for my favorite moral foundations theory. I'm going to be looking at each of the things that they say to try and link it to a moral foundation.
Well, apparently some of John Delaney's people have said he's going to go hard against Bernie and Warren.
Really?
Well, yeah, because if you look at the entire field of the Democrat candidates, he's like the most Republican-esque one.
So what will he be gaining by going after Bernie then?
My guess is, just kind of trying to just trying to differentiate himself from like these super ultra. I mean, it seems like everybody almost in the field trying to race like and go to the left and show how progressive they are. And I'm guessing his strategy is to be, oh, I'm like the more middle of the road guy. I'm not like these crazy leftist types. If you're a Democrat who still believes in some of like these old principles we believed in maybe 10, 15 years ago, you can vote for me.
Right. Yeah, maybe that'd be interesting. The Pizza Jack for $5 says, Sitch, can you put your photo with blush face on a waifu pillow? Yes, I'll do that. I will do that and sell it. That will be a new top tier Patreon reward. A waifu pillow of me.
Shouldn't be starting right now.
20 race for president.
Hi, I'm Savannah Guthrie, and tonight it's our first chance to see these candidates go head-to-head on stage together. We'll be joined in our questioning tonight by our colleagues Jose Diaz-Balart, Chuck Todd, and Rachel Maddow.
Voters are trying to nail down where the candidates stand on the issues, what sets them apart, and which of these presidential hopefuls has what it takes.
Well, now it's time to find out.
Tonight, round one, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, former Housing Secretary Julián Castro, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, former Maryland Congressman John Delaney, Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, Washington Governor Jay Inslee, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke, Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan, and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. From NBC News, Decision 2020, the Democratic Candidates Debate. Live from the Adrian Arsht Performing Arts Center in Miami, Florida.
To the candidates and to our audience here in Miami, here in the Arts Center, and all across the country. Tonight, we're going to take on many of the most pressing issues of the moment, including immigration, the situation unfolding at our border, and the treatment of migrant children.
And we're going to talk about the tensions with Iran, climate change, and of course, we'll talk about the economy, those kitchen table issues so many Americans face every day.
And some quick rules of the road before we begin. 20 candidates qualified for this first debate. We'll hear from 10 tonight and 10 more tomorrow. The breakdown for each was selected at random. The candidates will have 60 seconds to answer and 30 seconds for any follow-ups.
Because of this large field, not every person will be able to comment on every topic, but over the course of the next 2 hours, we will hear from everyone. We'd also like to ask the audience to keep the reactions to a minimum. We are not going to be shy about making sure the candidates stick to time tonight.
All right, so with that business out of the way, we want to get to it. And we'll start this evening with Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator, good evening to you.
Thank you.
You have many plans: free college, free childcare, government health care, cancellation of student debt, new taxes, new regulations, the breakup of major corporations. But this comes at a time when 71% of Americans say the economy is doing well, including 60% of Democrats. What do you say to those who worry this kind of significant change could be risky to the economy?
So I think of it this way. Who is this economy really working for? It's doing great for a thinner and thinner slice at the top. It's doing great for giant drug companies. It's just not doing great for people who are trying to get a prescription filled. It's doing great for people who want to invest in private prisons, just not for the African Americans and Latinx whose families are torn apart, whose lives are destroyed, and whose communities are ruined. It's doing great for giant oil companies that want to drill everywhere, just not for the rest of us who are watching climate change bear down upon us. When you've got a government, when you've got an economy that does great for those with money and isn't doing great for everyone else, that is corruption, pure and simple. We need to call it out, we need to attack it head on, and we need to make structural change in our government, in our economy, and in our country.
Spoken like a true beer drinker.
So does that succeed your moral foundations test?
It's all care harm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
perfect for the base.
Perfect for the base, but
yeah.
But not good for fairness, maybe.
Well, yeah, definitely. Why? I don't
Dude,
know.
we got to keep it live. What are we doing?
Oh, is that what we're supposed to keep it live? Is that what's happening here?
I thought so.
We're missing stuff.
You've called programs like free college something you might do if you were, quote, a magic genie. To be blunt, are the government programs and benefits that some of your rivals are offering giving your voters, people, a false sense of what's actually achievable?
Well, first, the economy. We know that not everyone is sharing in this prosperity, and Donald Trump just sits in the White House and gloats about what's going on when you have so many people that are having trouble affording college and having trouble affording their premiums. So I do get concerned about paying for college for rich kids. I do. But I think my plan is a good one. And my plan would be to, first of all, make community college free and make sure that everyone else besides that top percentile gets help with their education. My own dad and my sister got their first degrees with community college. There's many paths to success, as well as certification.
We can skip forward.
Secondly, I'd use Pell Grants. I'd double them from $6,000 to $12,000 a year and expand it to the number of families that get covered, to families that make up to $100,000. And then the third thing I would do is make it easier for students to pay off their student loans. Because I can tell you this, if billionaires can pay off their yachts, students should be able to pay off their student loans.
That's time, thank you.
That's a fairness argument.
Congressman O'Rourke.
Yeah.
What we've just been discussing and talking about is how much fundamental change to the economy is desirable and how much is actually doable. In that vein, some Democrats want a marginal individual tax rate of 70% on the very highest earners, those making more than $10 million a year. Would you support that? And if not, what would your top individual rate be?
This economy has got to work for everyone. And right now we know that it isn't. And it's going to take all of us coming together to make sure that it does. Necesitamos incluir cada persona en el éxito de esta economía. Pero si queremos hacer eso, necesitamos incluir cada persona en nuestra democracia. Cada votante
really
necesitamos
oh my God, look at their faces.
Y cada voz necesitamos escuchar. Right now, we have a system that favors those who can pay for access and outcomes.
Such pandering.
That's how you explain an economy that is rigged to corporations and to the very wealthiest. A $2 trillion tax cut that favored corporations while they were sitting on
Cory Booker's almost laughing.
And the very wealthiest in this country at a time of historic wealth inequality. A new democracy that is revived because we returned power to the people, no PACs, no gerrymandering, automatic and same-day voter registration to bring in more voters, and a new Voting Rights Act to get rid of the barriers that are in place now. That's how we each have a voice in our democracy and make this economy work for everyone.
That's time, sir.
Yeah, Beto just said these people are more important.
If you want to answer the direct question, would you support a 70% individual marginal tax rate? Yes, no, or pass?
I would support a tax rate and a tax code that is fair to everyone. Tax capital at the same rate that you tax ordinary income. Take that corporate tax rate up to 28%. You would generate the revenues you need to pay for the programs we're talking about.
That's time. Thank you. Senator Booker, there is a debate in this party right now about the role of corporations, as you know. Senator Warren, in particular, put out a plan to break up tech companies like Facebook, Amazon, and Google. You've said we should not, quote, be running around pointing at companies and breaking them up without any kind of process.
Yeah, they're already setting her up as like the most progressive on stage.
I don't think I disagree. I think we have a serious problem in our country with corporate consolidation. And you see the evidence of that in how dignity is being stripped from labor. And we have people that work full-time jobs and still can't make a living wage. We see that because consumer prices are being raised by pharmaceutical companies that often have monopolistic holds on drugs. And you see that by just the fact that this is actually an economy that's hurting small businesses and not allowing them to compete. One of the most aggressive bills in the Senate to deal with corporate consolidation is mine about corporate consolidation in the ag sector. So I feel very strongly about the need to check the corporate consolidation and let the free market work.
Dude,
and I'll tell you this,
I
live in a low-income black and brown community. I see every single day that this economy is not working for average Americans. The indicators that are being used from GDP to Wall Street's rankings is not helping people in my community. It is about time that we have an economy that works for everybody, not just the wealthiest in our nation.
But quickly, Senator Booker, you did say that you didn't think it was right to name names, to name companies and single them out, as Senator Warren has. Briefly, why is that?
Well, again, I will single out companies like Halliburton or Amazon that pay nothing in taxes and are need to change that. And when it comes to antitrust law, what I will do is, number one, appoint judges that will enforce it. Number two, have a DOJ and a Federal Trade Commission that will go through the processes necessary to check this kind of corporate concentration. At the end of the day, we have too much of a problem with corporate power growing. We see that with everything from Citizens United and the way they're trying to influence Washington. It's about time that we have a president that fights for the people in this country who need to have someone that's a champion for them.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Warren, I mentioned you. Are you picking winners and losers?
So the way I understand it is there is way too much consolidation now in giant industries in this country. That hurts workers, it hurts small businesses, it hurts independent farmers, it hurts our economy overall, and it helps constrict real innovation and growth in this economy. Now look, we've had the laws out there for a long time to be able to fight back. What's been missing is courage. Courage in Washington to take on the giants. That's part of the corruption in this system. It has been far too long that the monopolies have been making the campaign contributions, have been funding the super PACs, have been out there making sure that their influence is heard and felt in every single decision that gets made in Washington. Where I want to start this is I want to return government to the people, and that means calling out the names of the monopolies and saying, I have the courage to go after them.
Thank you.
Secretary Castro, the next question is for you. Democrats have been talking about the pay gap for decades. What would you do to ensure that women are paid fairly in this country?
Thank you very much for that question, Lester. You know, I grew up with a mother who raised my brother Joaquin and me as a single parent. And I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to rent a home and to worry about whether you're going to be able to pay the rent at the first of the month, and to see a mom work very, very hard and know that moms across this country are getting paid less simply because they're women. I would do several things, starting with something we should have done a long time ago, which is to pass the Equal Rights Amendment finally in this country, and also pursue legislation so that women are paid equal pay for equal work in this country. It's past time that we did that. And, you know, we have to do this. If we want to be the most prosperous nation in the 21st century, we need to make sure that women are paid what they deserve.
All right, thank you. I want to put the same question to Congresswoman Gabbard. Your thoughts on equal pay?
Well, first of all, let's recognize the situation we're in, that the American people deserve a president who will put your interests ahead of the rich and powerful. That's not what we have right now. I enlisted in the Army National Guard after the al-Qaeda terror attacks on 9/11, so I could go after those who had attacked us on that day. I still serve as a major. Served over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East, and in Congress serve on the Foreign Affairs and Armed Services Committees for over 6 years. I know the importance of our national security, as well as the terribly high cost of war. And for too long, our leaders have failed us, taking us from one regime change war to the next, leading us into a new Cold War and arms race, costing us trillions of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars and countless lives. This insanity must end. As president, I will take your hard-earned taxpayer dollars and instead invest those dollars into serving your needs. Things like health care, a green economy, good-paying jobs,
this is the first time you wanted
our
using
environment,
it as an opening statement.
and so much more.
Right. Isn't this the first time you want a politician to
You're the mayor of the biggest city in the United States, but it's also one of the cities in the country with the greatest gap between the wealthy and the poor. How would you address income inequality?
Well, we've been addressing income inequality in New York City by raising wages, by raising benefits, by putting money back in the hands of working people. $15 minimum wage, paid sick days, pre-K for all, things that are making a huge difference in working people's lives. But let me tell you, what we're hearing here already in the first round of questions is that battle for the heart and soul of our party. I want to make it clear. This is supposed to be the party of working people. Yes, we're supposed to be for a 70% tax rate on the wealthy. Yes, we're supposed to be for free college, free public college for our young people. We are supposed to break up big corporations when they're not serving our democracy.
70%.
This Democratic Party has to be strong and bold and progressive. And in New York, we've proven that we can do something very different. We can put money back in the hands of working people. And let me tell you, every time you talk about investing in people and their communities, you hear folks say there's not enough money. What I say to them every single time is there's plenty of money in this world. There's plenty of money in this country. It's just in the wrong hands. We Democrats have to fix that.
Congressman Delaney, do you agree?
I think we need to do real things to help American workers and the American people. Right? This is the issue that all of us here on the campaign trail. We need to make sure everyone has a living wage. And I've called for a doubling of the earned income tax credit, raising the minimum wage, and creating paid family leave. That will create a situation where people actually have a living wage. That gets right to workers. Then we got to fix our public education system. It's not delivering the results our kids need, nor is college and post-high school career and technical training programs doing that. You know, I'm very different than everyone else here on the stage. Prior to being in Congress, I was an entrepreneur. I started 2 businesses. I created thousands of jobs. I spent my whole career helping small to mid-sized businesses all over the country. 5,000 of them I supported. The Obama administration gave me an award for lending to disadvantaged communities. I know how to create jobs. We need a short-term strategy, which is to put money in the pockets of workers with the earned income tax credit, raising the minimum wage and creating paid family leave. And then we need to have a long-term strategy to make sure this country is competitive and we're creating jobs everywhere in this country.
Governor Inslee, how would you address income inequality?
Well, I'm a little bit surprised. I think plans are great, but I'm a governor, and we got to realize the people who brought us the weekend, unions, are going to bring us a long overdue raise in America. And I'm proud of standing up for unions. I've got a plan to reinvigorate collective bargaining so we can increase wages finally. I marched with the SEIU folks. It is not right that the CEO of McDonald's makes 2,100 times more than the people slinging hash at McDonald's. And the next thing I'll do is put people to work in the jobs of the present and the future. Look at Donald Trump is simply wrong. He says wind turbines cause cancer. We know they cause jobs. And we know that we can put millions of people to work in the clean energy jobs of the future.
He practiced
Carpenters,
that line, okay?
IBEW's members, machinists. We're doing it in my state today. And then we can do what America always does, lead the world and invent the future and put people to work. That's what we're going to do.
Congressman Ryan, President Trump, and you just referred to him, promised that manufacturing jobs were all coming back to places like your home state of Ohio. Can you make that same promise?
Yes, I believe you can. But first, let's say the president came. He said, don't sell your house to people in Youngstown, Ohio. And in his administration, just in the last 2 years, we lost $4,000 4,000 jobs at a General Motors facility. That rippled throughout our community. General Motors got a tax cut. General Motors got a bailout. And then they have the audacity to move a new car that they're going to produce to Mexico. I've had family members that have to unbolt a machine from the factory floor, put it in a box, and ship it to China. My area where I come from in Northeast Ohio, this issue we're talking about here, it's been going on 40 years. This is not a new phenomenon in the United States of America. The bottom 60% haven't seen a raise since 1980. Meanwhile, the top 1% control 90% of the wealth. We need an industrial policy saying we're going to dominate building electric vehicles. There's going to be 30 million made in the next 10 years. I want half of them made in the United States. I want to dominate the solar industry and manufacture those here in the United States.
Senator Warren, are they coming back? Are these jobs coming back?
So we've had an industrial policy in the United States for decades now, and it's basically been let giant corporations do whatever they want to do. Giant corporations have exactly one loyalty, and that is to profits. And if they can save a nickel by moving a job to Mexico or to Asia or to Canada, they're going to do it. So here's what I propose for an industrial policy. Start with a place where there's a real need. There's going to be a worldwide need for green technology, ways to clean up the air, ways to clean up the water. and we can be the ones to provide that. We need to go tenfold in our research and development on green energy going forward. And then we need to say, any corporation can come and use that research. They can make all kinds of products from it, but they have to be manufactured right here in the United States of America. And then we have to double down and sell it around the world. There's a $23 trillion market coming for green products. We should be the leaders and the owners, and we should have that 1.2 million manufacturing jobs here in America. We can do this.
All right, we're going to turn to the issue of health care right now and really try to understand where there may or may not be daylight between you. Many people watching at home have health insurance coverage through their employer. Who here would abolish their private health insurance in favor of a government-run plan? Just a show of hands, start off with.
Only two?
All right, well, Senator Klobuchar, let me put the question to you. You're one of the Democrats who wants to keep private insurance in addition to a government health care plan. Why is an incremental approach, in your view, better than a sweeping overhaul?
Well, I think it's a bold approach. It's something that Barack Obama wanted to do when we were working on the Affordable Care Act, and that is a public option. I am just simply concerned about kicking half of America off of their health insurance in 4 years, which is exactly what this bill says. So let me go on beyond that. There is a much bigger issue in addition to that, and that is pharmaceuticals. The president literally went on TV, on Fox, and said that people's heads would spin when they see how much he would bring down pharmaceutical prices. Instead, 2,500 drugs have gone up in double digits since he came into office. Instead, he gave $100 billion in giveaways to the pharma companies. For the rest of us, for the rest of America, that's what we call at home, all foam and no beer. We got nothing out of it. And so my proposal is to do something about pharma, to take them on, to allow negotiation under Medicare, to bring in less expensive drugs from other countries. And pharma thinks they own Washington. Well, they don't own me.
Your time is up. Thank you.
That folksy stuff, man, that really
Warren,
plays.
you signed on to Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All plan. It would put essentially everybody on Medicare and then eliminate private plans that offer similar coverage. Is that the plan or path that you would pursue as president?
So yes, I'm with Bernie on Medicare for All, and let me tell you why. I spent a big chunk of my life studying why families go broke. And one of the #1 reasons is the cost of health care, medical bills. And that's not just for people who don't have insurance, it's for people who have insurance. Look at the business model of an insurance company. It's to bring in as many dollars as they can in premiums and to pay out as few dollars as possible for your health care. That leaves families with rising premiums, rising co-pays, and fighting with insurance companies to try to get the health care that their doctors say that they and their children need. Medicare for All solves that problem. And I understand there are a lot of politicians who say, oh, it's just not possible, we just can't do it, it's have a lot of political reasons for this. What they're really telling you is they just won't fight for it. Well, health care is a basic human right, and I will fight for basic human rights.
She's winning so far.
Congressman O'Rourke, when you ran for Senate, you also praised a bill that would replace private insurance. This year, you're saying you're no longer sure. Can you explain why?
My goal is to ensure that every American is well enough to live to their full potential because they have health care. In Laredo, Texas, I met a young man, 27 years old, told me that he'd been to a doctor once in his life. And on that visit, he was told he had diabetes, he was told he had glaucoma, and he was told untreated because he doesn't have health care, he'll be dead before the age of 40. So getting to guaranteed, high-quality, universal health care as quickly and surely as possible has to be our goal. The ability to afford your prescriptions and go to a primary care provider, the ability to see a mental health care provider. In Texas, the single largest provider of mental health care services is the county jail system today.
He's not
and health care also has to mean that every woman can make her own decisions about her own body and has access to the care that makes that possible.
God.
Our plan says that if you're uninsured, we enroll you in Medicare. If you're insufficiently insured, you can't afford your premiums, we enroll you in Medicare. But if you're a member of a union that negotiated for a health care plan that you like because it works for you and your family, you're able to keep it. We preserve choice by making sure that everybody has health care.
Time is up, Congressman, but I do want to ask
Beto
a
always
follow-up
comes
on
off
this
as the
one.
most
Just to be very clear, I'll give you
politician-y
10
of all you
seconds.
guys.
Would you replace private insurance?
No, I think the choice is fundamental to
I don't know, maybe
Klobuchar. Private insurance is not working for tens of millions of Americans. When you talk about the co-pays, the deductibles, the premiums, the out-of-pocket expenses, it's not working.
That's right. So for those for whom it's not working, they can choose Medicare. For the culinary workers in Nevada who I listened to, who negotiated for those plans, they're able to keep them.
Why are you
100 million
defending private
Americans
insurance?
say they like their private health insurance, by the way. It should be noted that 100 million Americans, I mean, I think
It's
we
a
should be the
free-for-all. I
party
love
that
it.
keeps what's working and fixes what's broken. I mean, doesn't that make sense? I mean, we should give everyone in this country health care as a basic human right for free, full stop. But we should also give them the option to buy private insurance. Why do we have to stand for taking away something from people? And also, it's bad policy. If you go to every hospital in this country and you ask them one question, which is, how would it have been for you last year if every one of your bills were paid at the Medicare rate? Every single hospital administrator said they would close. And the Medicare for All bill requires payments to stay at current Medicare rates. So to some extent, we're basically supporting a bill that will have every hospital closed. I mean, my dad was a union electrician. Right, I actually grew up in a working class family. He loved the health care that the IBEW gave him. And I just always think about my dad and anything I would do from a policy perspective. He'd look at me and he'd say, good job, John, for getting health care for every American. But why are you taking my health care
I've let this
away?
play out a little bit because I'm fascinated to hear the daylight between you. Congresswoman Gabbard, weigh in here.
I think we're talking about this in the wrong way. You're talking about one bill over another bill. Really what we're talking about is our objective, making sure that every single sick American in this country is able to get the health care that they need. I believe Medicare for All is the way to do that. I also think that employers will recognize how much money will be saved by supporting a Medicare for All program, a program that will reduce the administrative costs, reduce the bureaucratic costs, and make sure that everyone gets that quality health care that they need. I also think if you look at other countries in the world who have universal health care, every one of them has some form of a role of private insurance. I think that's what we've got to look at, taking the best of these ideas, but making sure unequivocally that no sick American goes without getting the care that they need, regardless of how much or little money they have in their pocket.
Congresswoman, thanks. Let me turn to Senator Booker on this. Senator Booker, explain to me where you are. This is hugely important to people, so tell us where you are.
I absolutely will. First of all, we're talking about this as a healthcare issue, but in communities like mine, low-income communities like mine, it's an education issue because kids who don't have health care are not going to succeed in school. It is an issue for jobs and employment because people that do not have good health care do not succeed at work. It's even a retirement issue because in my community, African Americans have a lower life expectancy because of poorer health care. And so where I stand is very clear. Health care is not just a human right, it should be an American right. And I believe the best way to get there is Medicare for All. But I have an urgency about this. When I am president of the United States, I'm not going to wait. We have to do the things immediately that are going to provide better care. And on this debate, I'm sorry. There are too many people profiteering off of the pain of people in America, from pharmaceutical companies to insurers. Literally, the overhead for insurers that they charge is 15%, while Medicare's overhead is only at 2%. We can do this better, and every single day I will be fighting to give people more access and more affordable costs until we get to my goal, which is every American having health care.
Time is up, Senator. I want to move back, if I can, to Congressman Gabbard.
And that is that the insurance companies last year alone sucked $23 billion in profits out of the healthcare system. $23 billion, and that doesn't count the money that was paid to executives, the money that was spent lobbying Washington. We have a giant industry that wants our healthcare system to stay the way it is, because it's not working for families, but it sure as heck working for them. It's time for us to make families come first.
It should not be an option in the United States of America for any insurance company
the Bill
to deny women coverage for their exercise of their right of choice.
Oh my God.
And I am the only candidate here who has passed a law protecting a woman's right of reproductive health and health insurance.
God.
And I'm the only candidate who has passed a public option. And I respect everybody's goals and plans here. But we do have one candidate that's actually advanced the ball. And we got to have access for everyone. I've done it as a public option.
Senator Klobuchar, I'm fascinated by this. Senator Klobuchar.
I just want to say there's 3 women up here that have fought pretty hard for a woman's right to choose. So I'll start with that. And then I just want to be very clear. I think we share the goal of universal health care. And the idea I put out there, the public option, which the governor was just talking about, this idea is that you use Medicare or Medicaid without any insurance companies involved. You could do it either way. And the estimates are 13 million people would see a reduction in their premiums. 12 more million people would get covered. So I think it is a beginning and the way you start and the way you move to universal health care.
Secretary Castro, this one is for you. All of you on stage support a woman's right to an abortion. You all support some version of a government health care option. Would your plan cover abortion, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, it would. I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice.
What the fuck does that mean?
What that means is that just because a woman, or let's also not forget, someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose. And so I absolutely would cover the right to have an abortion. More than that, everybody in this crowd and watching at home knows that in our country today, a person's right to choose is under assault in places like Missouri, in Alabama, in Georgia. I would appoint judges to the federal bench that understand the precedent of Roe v. Wade and will respect it. And in addition to that, make sure that we fight hard as we transition our healthcare system to one where everybody can get and exercise that right.
Senator Warren, would you put limits on any limits on abortion?
I would make certain that every woman has access to the full range of reproductive health care services, and that includes birth control, it includes abortion, it includes everything
no one
for
on that
a
stage
woman.
is going to answer the question of limiting abortion and access.
It's not enough for us to expect the courts to protect us. 47 years ago, Roe versus Wade was decided, and we've all looked to the courts all that time as state after state has undermined Roe, has put in exceptions, has come right up to the edge of taking away protection.
Your time is up, Senator.
We now have an America where most people support Roe versus Wade. We need to make that
Senator
federal law.
Thank you.
They need to ask, like, do you support post-birth
I want to
abortion?
kind of come back on a discussion we were having about health and the opioid crisis. You represent a state where 14 of the 20 largest pharmaceutical companies are based. Should pharmaceutical companies that manufacture these drugs be held criminally liable for what they do?
They should absolutely be held criminally liable because they are liable and responsible. This is one of the reasons why, well before I was running for president, I said I would not take contributions from pharma companies, not take contributions from corporate PACs or pharma executives, because they are part of this problem. And this opioid addiction in our country, we in cities like mine have been seeing how we've tried to arrest our way out of addiction for too long. It is time that we have a national urgency to deal with this problem and make the solutions that are working to actually be the law of our land and make the pharmaceutical companies that are responsible help to pay for that.
Congressman O'Rourke, how would you deal with it?
Tonight in this country, you have 2.3 million of our fellow Americans behind bars.
Is he going to bring up a story
largest
about a
prison
person?
population on the face of the planet. Many are there for nonviolent drug crimes, including possession of marijuana, at a time that more than half the states have legalized it or decriminalized it. And yet, despite what Purdue Pharma has done, their connection to the opioid crisis and the overdose deaths that we're seeing throughout this country, they've been able to act with complete impunity and pay no consequences, not a single night in jail. Unless there's accountability and justice, this crisis will continue. In my administration, we will hold them to account. We will make sure that they pay a price, and we will help those who've been victims of this malfeasance in this country, get them treatment and long-term care.
I know immigration is on a lot of your minds here, and I want to talk about it. We're going to talk about it in a moment. We need to take a break. We'll be back with more from Miami after this.
I know. Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
we can fast forward a little bit.
Oh my goodness, a break. Thank goodness. Oh, are we going to try to
Blockbuster new reporting today on this.
This is the deadliest school shooting.
The Supreme Court upheld the revised version. Well, this new report comes amid a staggering amount of news.
Breaking news tonight.
So who's winning so far?
I'd say Elizabeth Warren, probably.
I was thinking of all the
yeah.
articles that are going to come out with all the white dudes interrupting. Like it was a free for all, and it was all white males jumping in the fray, stepping on everybody else. Watch.
I'm wondering who's going to get the least amount of time. I'm kind of thinking it might be Gabbard, but not sure.
She hasn't really wowed anyone yet. Just kind of dropping the ball here.
Really giving her the opportunity. Hopefully, once they get to foreign policy, it'll be a little interesting. But I don't think she's going to make that big a splash, honestly.
And then she's lost.
Nobody answered the "Are the jobs coming?"
This is her chance.
Oh, are we back already?
Okay.
Turn to in the news, especially this week, there are undocumented children being held alone in detention. Even as close as Homestead, Florida, right here, less than 30 miles from where we are tonight. Fathers and mothers and children are dying while trying to enter the United States of America. We saw that image today that broke our hearts, and they had names. Oscar Martinez and his 23-month-old daughter Valeria died trying to cross
Is
the
this guy
river
asking a question or running
for asylum.
Yeah, I know. Like, what's it?
Last month, more than 130,000 migrants were apprehended at the southern border. Secretary Castro, if you were president today, hoy, what would you specifically do?
Thank you very much, Jose. I'm very proud that in April I became the first candidate to put forward a comprehensive immigration plan. And we saw those images. Watching that image of Oscar and his daughter Valeria is heartbreaking. It should also piss us all off. If I were president today, and it should spur us to action, if I were president today, I would sign an executive order that would get rid of Trump's zero tolerance policy, the Remain in Mexico policy, and the metering policy. This metering policy is basically what prompted Oscar and Valeria to make that risky swim across the river. They have been playing games with people who are coming to seek asylum at our ports of entry.
All right, Trump just tweeted boring.
Oscar and Valeria went to a port of entry, and then they were denied the ability to make an asylum claim. So they got frustrated, and they tried to cross the river, and they died because of that.
On day one, sorry.
On day one, I would do that executive order that would address metering, and then I would follow that up in my first 100 days with immigration reform. Undocumented immigrants, as long as they haven't committed a serious crime, on a pathway to citizenship, and then we go to the root cause of the issue, which is we need a Marshall Plan for Honduras and Guatemala and El Salvador so that people can find safety and opportunity at home instead of coming to the United States to seek it.
Senator Booker, what would you do on day one? And this is a situation that the next president will inherit.
Yes. La situación ahora es inaceptable. Este presidente ha atacado, ha demonizado los inmigrantes. Es inaceptable. Voy a cambiar esto. On day one, I will make sure that, number one, we end the ICE policies and the customs and border policies that are violating the human rights. When people come to this country, they do not leave their human rights at the border. Number two, I will make sure that we reinstate DACA, that we reinstate pathways to citizenship for DACA recipients, and to make sure that people that are here on temporary protected status can stay and remain here. And then finally, we need to make sure that we address the issues that made Oscar and Valeria come in the first place by making major investments in the Northern Triangle, not like this president is doing, by ripping away the resources we need to actually solve this problem. We cannot surrender our values and think that we're going to get border security. We actually will lose security and our values. We must fight for both.
If I might, very briefly, and this is an important point, my plan, and I'm glad to see that Senator Booker, Senator Warren, and Governor Inslee agree with me on this, my plan also includes getting rid of Section 1325 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, to go back to the way we used to treat this when somebody comes across the border, not to criminalize desperation, to treat that as a civil violation. And here's why it's important. We see all of this horrendous family separation. They use that law, Section 1325, to justify under the law separating little children from their families.
Jose,
and so I want to challenge every single candidate on this stage to support the repeal of Section 1325.
30 seconds.
As my friend here said, I agree with him on that issue, but folks should understand that the separation of children from families doesn't just go on at our border. It happens in our communities as ICE are ripping away parents from their American children, spouses and the like, and are creating fear in cities all across this country where parents are afraid to even drop their kids off to school or go to work. We must end those policies as well.
Discussion about immigration in this country, because look at the bottom line here. That tragic photo of that parent, that child, and I'm saying this as a father. Every American should feel that in their heart, and every American should say that is not America. Those are not our values, but we have to get under the skin of why we have this crisis in our system, because we're not being honest about the division that's been fomented in this country. The way that American citizens have been told that immigrants somehow created their misery and their pain and their challenges. For all the American citizens out there who feel you're falling behind, who feel the American dream's not working for you, the immigrants didn't do that to you. The big corporations did that to you. The 1% did that to you.
Oh my God.
We need to be the party of working people, and that includes the party of immigrants. But first, we have to tell working people in America who are hurting that we're going to be on their side every single time against those big corporations who created this mess to begin with. And remind people we're all in this together. If we don't change that debate, that politics that's holding us back, we won't get all these reforms people are talking about. That's what we need to do as Democrats.
Congresista, if I could, I'm sorry. Congresista O'Rourke, ¿qué haría usted en el primer día?
Oh my God!
Realidad que está ocurriendo. What would you do, Congressman, day one
I wish he just asked him and it would expose him for not knowing Spanish.
Cada persona con el respeto y dignidad que merecen como humanos. We would not turn back Valeria and her father, Oscar. We would accept them into this country and follow our own asylum laws. We would not build walls. We would not put kids in cages. In fact, we would spare no expense to reunite the families that have been separated already. And we would not criminally prosecute any family who is fleeing violence and persecution. We would make sure...
Secretary, let him finish, and I will give you...
his policy.
But let him finish. Let him finish, please. Yes.
We would not detain any family fleeing violence, in fact, fleeing the deadliest countries on the face of the planet today. We would implement a family case management program so they could be cared for in the community at a fraction of the cost. And then we would rewrite our immigration laws in our own image. Free dreamers forever from any fear of deportation by making them U.S. citizens here in this country. Invest in solutions in Central America, work with regional stakeholders so there's no reason to make that 2,000-mile journey to this country.
Secretary, I'll give you 30 seconds.
Let's be very clear. The reason that they're separating these little children from their families is that they're using Section 1325 of that act, which criminalizes coming across the border, to incarcerate the parents and then separate them. Some of us on this stage have called to end that section, to terminate it. Some, like Congressman O'Rourke, have not. And I want to challenge all of the candidates to do that. I just think it's a mistake, Beto. I think it's a mistake. And I think that if you truly want to change the system, then we got to repeal that section. If not, then it might as well be the same policy.
Let me respond to this very briefly. Actually, as a member of Congress, I helped to introduce legislation that would ensure that we don't criminalize those who are seeking asylum and refuge in this country. If you're fleeing desperation, then I want to make sure
everybody else. I'm still talking about everybody else.
But you're looking at just one small part of this. I'm talking about a comprehensive rewrite of our immigration laws.
That's not true.
And if we do that, I don't think it's asking too much for people to follow our laws when they come to this country.
I'm talking about millions of folks A lot of folks that are coming are not seeking asylum. A lot of them are undocumented immigrants, right? And you said recently that the reason you didn't want to repeal Section 1325 was because you were concerned about human trafficking and drug trafficking. But let me tell you what, Section 18, Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Title 21, and Title 22 already cover human trafficking and drug trafficking. I think that you should do your homework on this issue. If you did your homework on this issue, you would know that we should repeal this section.
This is an issue that we should and could be talking about for a long time, and we will for a long time.
Can we talk about the conditions to why people are coming here?
Let's let Lester.
Because
Savannah. I know it's just we could go on.
But rather than talk about specific provisions, we really have to talk about why these people are coming to our country and what are we going to do to actually make a difference in these countries.
Congressman, you'll get your chance. Let's continue the discussion. Senator Klobuchar, let's talk about what Secretary Castro just said. He wants to no longer have it be a crime to illegally cross the border. Do you support that? Do you think it should be a civil offense only? And if
Don't tell the Russians that.
She's not going to answer potentially incentivizing people to come here.
Immigrants, they do not diminish America. They are America. And I am happy to look at his proposal. But I do think you want to make sure that you have provisions in place that allow you to go after traffickers and allow you to go after people who are violating the law. What I really think we need to step back and talk about is the economic imperative here. And that is that 70 of our Fortune 500 companies are headed up by people that came from other countries. 25% of our U.S. Nobel laureates were born in other countries. We have a situation right now where we need workers in our fields and in our factories. We need them to start small businesses. We need their ideas. And this president has literally gone backwards at a time where our economy needs immigrants. And so my proposal is to look at that 2013 bill that passed the Senate with Republican support, to upgrade that bill, to make it as good as possible and get it done. It brings the debt down by $158 billion. It gives a path to citizenship for people who can become citizens. And it would be so much better for our economy in America.
That's time. Thank you. Congressman Ryan, same question. Should it be a crime to illegally cross the border, or should it be a civil offense only?
Well, I agree with Secretary Castro. I think there are other provisions in the law that will allow you to prosecute people for coming over here if they're dealing in drugs and other things. That's already established in the law. So there's no need to repeat it. And I think it's abhorrent. We're talking about this father who got killed with his daughter. And the issues here, the way these kids are being treated, if you go to Guantanamo Bay, there are terrorists that are held that get better health care than those kids that have tried to cross the border in the United States. That needs to stop. And I think the president should immediately ask doctors and nurses to go immediately down to the border and start taking care of these kids. What kind of country are we running here where we have a president of the United States who's so focused on hate and fear and division? And what has happened now, the end result, is now we've got kids literally laying in their own snot with 3-week-old diapers that haven't been changed. We've got to tell this president that is not a sign of strength, Mr. President. That is a sign of weakness.
Senator Booker, I'll go to you. But no, a lot of people, Jose asked the question, if you're president on day one, what will you do with the fact that you will have families here? There's been a lot of talk about what you'll do in the first 100 days, about legislation. What will you actually do with these families? How will you care for them? Will they be detained, or will they not be?
Well, this is a related and brief point, because what we're talking about, what Secretary Castro and I are talking about, is that we have the power to better deal with this problem through the civil process than the criminal process. I have been to some of the largest private prisons, which are repugnant to me, that people are profiting off of incarceration and their immigration lockups. Our country has made so many mistakes by criminalizing things, whether it's immigration, whether it's mental illness, whether it's addiction. We know that this is not the way to deal with problems. There is a humane way that affirms human rights and human dignity and actually solve this problem. Donald Trump isn't solving this problem. We've seen under his leadership a surge at our border. We solve this problem by making investments in the Northern Triangle to stop the reasons why people are being driven here in the first place. And we make sure we use our resources to provide health care, to affirm the values and human dignity of the people that come here, because we cannot sacrifice our values, our ideals as a nation for border security. We can have both by doing
a lot of
this the
rhetoric
right
about
way.
border security.
All right, Senator, thank you. Let me go to Governor Inslee on this. What would you do on day one? Same question I just asked Cory Booker. I have yet to hear an answer from anyone on this stage. What will you do with the families that will be here?
There is no reason for the detention and separation of these children. They should be released pending their hearings, and they should have a hearing and the law should be followed. That's what should happen. And we should do what we're doing in Washington State. I'm proud that we've passed a law that prevents local law enforcement from being turned into mini ICE agents.
Sanctuary
I'm proud to
state.
have been the first governor to stand up against Donald Trump's heinous Muslim ban. I'm proud to be a person who's not only talked about Dreamers, but being one of the first to make sure that they get a college education so that they can realize their dreams. These are some of the most inspirational people in our state. And I'll leave you with this thought if you want to know what I think. Donald Trump the other day tried to threaten me. He thought it was a threat to tell me that he would send refugees in Washington State if we passed the law that I passed. And I told him that's not a threat at all. We welcome refugees into our state. We recognize diversity as a strength. This is how we've built America.
Send them all.
That tradition is going to continue if I'm president.
So then, we're going to switch to another topic now. We've got a lot to get through. Let's talk.
My
We need to talk
grandfather
about.
was actually separated from his family when he came.
We're going to talk about Iran right
He
now
could've just
because
kept
we're
going with
working
that
against the clock. Tankers have been attacked. A U.S. drone has been shot down. There have been
Tulsi
disturbing
time.
threats issued by both the U.S. and Iranian leadership. I'd like, if you can, just for a moment, to put aside how you think we may have gotten here. But what I want to know is how do you dial it back? So a show of hands, who as president would sign on to the 2015 nuclear deal as it was originally negotiated?
Not Booker, huh?
Cory, Senator Booker, why not?
May I address
So
that?
I can talk.
Yeah,
First
exactly.
and foremost, it was a mistake to pull out of that deal. And one of the reasons why we're seeing this hostility
God
now is
damn,
because
that was a
Donald
smart
Trump is
move.
marching us to a far more dangerous situation. Literally, he took us out of a deal that gave us transparency into their nuclear program
God,
and
what a little
pushed back a
slimy
nuclear breakout
liar.
10, 20
What a
years.
snake.
And now we see Iran threatening to go further, and we're being pulled in further and further into this crisis. We need to renegotiate and get back into a deal, but I'm not going to have a primary platform to say unilaterally I'm going to rejoin that deal, because when I'm president of the United States, I'm going to do the best I can to secure this country and that region and make sure that if I have an opportunity to leverage a better deal, I'm going to do it.
Senator Klobuchar, I'd like you to answer the question because you said you would negotiate yourself back into the Iranian agreement. Can you argue that that nuclear pact, as it was ratified, was a good deal?
Yes, it was.
It was imperfect, but it was a good deal for that moment. I would have worked to get longer sunset periods, and that's something we could negotiate to get back in the deal. But the point is, Donald Trump told us when he got out of it that he was going to give us a better deal. Those were his words. And now we are a month away from the Iranians who claim now that they're going to blow the caps on enriching uranium. And the Iranians have told us this. And so that's where we are right now. He has made us less safe than we were when he became president. So what I would do is negotiate us back into that agreement, is stand with our allies and not give unlimited leverage to China and Russia, which is what he has done. And then, finally, I would make sure that if there is any possibility of a conflict, and we're having this debate in Congress right now, that he comes to Congress for an authorization of military force. I would do that. And this president is literally every single day 10 minutes away from going to war, one tweet away from going to war, and I don't think we should conduct foreign policy in our bathrobe at 5 in the morning, which is
Gabbard,
what he does.
There's the tagline.
I'm still not sure if Cory Booker
You've said you would sign back onto the 2015 deal. Would you insist, though, that it address Iran's support for Hezbollah?
Let's deal with the situation where we are, where this president and his chicken hawk cabinet have led us to the brink of war with Iran. I served in the war in Iraq at the height of the war in 2005, a war that took over 4,000 of my brothers and sisters in uniforms lives. The American people need to understand that this war with Iran would be far more devastating, far more costly than anything that we ever saw in Iraq. It would take many more lives. It would exacerbate the refugee crisis. And it wouldn't be just contained within Iran. This would turn into a regional war. This is why it's so important that every one of us, every single American, stand up and say, no war with Iran. We need to get back into the Iran nuclear agreement, and we need to negotiate how we can improve it. It was an imperfect deal. There are issues like their missile development that needs to be addressed. We can do both simultaneously to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon and preventing us from going to war.
Time is up. I have just a very quick follow-up. Well, what would your red line be for military action against Iran?
Look, obviously, if there was an attack against the our troops, then there would have to be a response. But my point is, and it's important for us to recognize this, is Donald Trump and his cabinet, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, and others, are creating a situation that just a spark would light off a war with Iran, which is incredibly dangerous. That's why we need to de-escalate tensions. Trump needs to get back into the Iran nuclear deal and swallow his pride, put the American people first.
Hey, but wait a minute.
All right, we are out of time.
Tulsi's,
We're up
I like
against
her,
a
but
hard
she is
break,
not
but
doing
we
good in this
will have
debate.
much more. Mayor de Blasio will have more. The commercial is coming. We will continue our questioning next with Chuck Todd, Rachel Maddow. Stick around. We'll have a lot more with some very anxious candidates just ahead.
Don't pause it. I'll just turn the volume down. Don't pause it. Just turn the volume down.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
And go forward a little bit because we did pause it.
Oh, did you?
You got 3 minutes and 50
seconds.
Yeah, I like Tulsi, but she's just not performing this debate.
So all the Spanish, what's up with that? Like, are they running for president of Mexico?
Oh my God. I can't, that's just like, let's activate everyone who's, moderate in the middle to be like, what the fuck is this? I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. How could they possibly think this looks good to anyone?
Yeah, I'm wondering if Gabbard is like laying low just so it's obvious. Like she's like, maybe I could pretend like I wasn't even on that stage.
With the hide.
No, I actually think things like
I'm
that
curious.
could potentially do well in a Democratic primary. They probably did focus group tests, and the way they asked it was probably something along the lines of, would you think it was good if they speak Spanish to address the Spanish-speaking people in the United States? And Democrat sensibilities would say, oh, that sounds nice, but when you actually see it in person, it's so corny.
Yeah, no, that's 100. That's complete. I could
I don't
definitely
think
see
it's
that.
corny. I think it's disrespectful. Like
It's corny. I'd say it's just corny.
There's no subtitles or anything. None of us know what they're talking about. Like it's the one thing that it's the one thing people don't like.
But it's activating the whole fear of, the
culture slipping away. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's so absurd.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was disrespectful only because they did speak English after they said what they said in Spanish.
Who knows what they said, though?
Spanish.
Beto O'Rourke ordered a pizza for all we know. Like, geez. And then he's got the other guy talking back. It's like, oh, great. None of us are here. We didn't tune in for your debate or
Julián Castro probably feels like he's like, dude, I'm like the actual only like Hispanic guy on this stage, and I feel like I got to step my game here.
I don't like that the separation of the people too, because I think they separate the people, the immigrants from the children to make sure that the children are actually their children.
No, not exactly. It's complicated because it has changed over time, but it basically he was talking about that section that criminalizes coming over the border. Mm-hmm. And when a crime is committed, of course, if you're taking into custody, you separate the parents from the children because you're not taking the children into jail. And then there's also the issue of with the decision where it's like you can't keep them in certain facilities for a certain period of time. They have to eventually be transitioned to like these different types of facilities that have standards. It's like super complicated.
Sitch, you got to turn your letting anyone dump links into the chat off, because you got a bunch of bots spamming with porn links.
Really?
Yeah. I can't believe you don't like how How do you just have your let links fly in the chat even on?
This has never happened before.
Track that down.
No one's ever
buddy.
dumped porn links in the chat. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. What's going on?
That happens. They're robot. This is the internet. Okay, there are robots out there looking for places to spam links.
Where even is that in the options?
That setting. I don't know. It's probably under comments. Like, don't let someone comment without. Don't let someone put a link in the comments. There's like a little checkbox.
All right, it's coming back.
I don't see it. Oh, look.
And welcome back, everyone, to the first Democratic presidential debate from the Arts Center in Miami.
And as we continue the questioning, time to get more members of our team in the mix.
So right now, let's turn it over to Chuck Todd and Rachel Maddow. Take it away.
Oh, I know. Here comes the Russia segment.
20 candidates qualified for this first Democratic debate. We're going to hear from 10 tonight, 10 more tomorrow. The breakdown for each night was selected at random. Now, the candidates will have 60 seconds to answer, 30 seconds for a follow-up if necessary, and we will be ruthless if necessary.
Yeah, we can do that. By the way, hi, Rachel.
Hi, Chuck.
How you doing?
Good.
And we've got a lot of ground to cover.
Oh,
We're going to be
look.
talking about guns and climate here.
Why didn't they
up top.
kiss?
A whole lot more in this hour, obviously because of the size of the field. Not every person will be able to weigh in on everything, but over the course of this next hour, we will hear from everyone. I promise everybody. And to begin with, we're going to go with guns. And Senator Warren, I want to start with you. We are less than 50 miles from Parkland, Florida, where 17 people were killed in a school shooting last year, and where there has been significant activism on gun violence ever since. Many of you are calling for a restoration of an assault weapons ban. But even if implemented, there will still be hundreds of millions of guns in this country. Should there be a role for the federal government?
Their other mics are on.
Everybody's mics are on. I think we have I heard that too. That's okay. I think we had a little mic issue in the back.
Control room, we've got contrary
we have the audience audio. All right.
And they're having problems.
So the question is simply this. I apologize, you guys didn't get to hear this, the first part of the question. Obviously, we're not far from Parkland, Florida. Gun activism has become a big part of high school life up there in Broward County. Many of you are calling for tighter gun restrictions. Some of you are calling for the restoration of the assault weapons ban. But even if it's put in place, there's still going to be perhaps hundreds of millions of guns still on the streets. Is there a role for the federal government in order to get these guns off the streets?
Still talking in the background.
Someone's got my binder.
Oh, no.
Is that a producer's?
We are hearing our colleagues' audio.
You're right.
If the control room could turn off
the producers.
Yeah, if the control room could turn off the mics of our previous moderators, we will.
I think it's the prior moderators.
That's hilarious.
You know, we prepared for everything.
Guess what, guys?
We did not prepare for this.
We are going to take a quick break.
Oh, yeah,
Get this
nice.
technical situation fixed. We will be right back.
That's hilarious.
Embarrassing. Damn.
The moderators aren't even ready for this.
Nope.
Someone's getting fired.
Yeah, Chuck Todd's angry.
Dude,
Very
4 minutes
angry right
again?
now.
What if this was all a ploy just to like get more advertising dollars?
It wouldn't surprise me.
So has the porn? I don't see any more porn. I think the porn has stopped.
Yeah, no, you did good. You clicked the box, right? You got the stuff.
No, I didn't. There's nothing to click.
Yeah, there is. There's like don't allow links. It's under community comments.
Nope. Oh, community.
Yeah,
but that's not for chats. Isn't it? That's for like the videos.
Community settings. It's the same for chat as it is for your
for
your comment section. And there's a don't allow links section in there.
Block links. You're right.
There you go.
There it is. It wasn't in the actual live stream.
There you go.
Got it.
Sure
Okay,
click,
guys. I'm sorry, guys.
Be sure
no
to
more
click
porn for
save.
you guys. Sorry.
Be sure to click save. Don't click on those links too. They'll take over your computer. Next thing
Only
you know,
click on links that me and Adam put out specifically. No one else.
So the Trump in a bathrobe was a good line. I'm trying to figure out like which is going to be the soundbite that people.
So far, I think Bill de Blasio is going to come out as the dark horse candidate that did that's doing well in the debate.
The interrupting
Yeah,
guy?
I could see him potentially getting the biggest swing out of this debate.
Yeah, he's the guy on that's kept interrupting. That's all the way on the left.
Right. I can't help but notice how tiny Elizabeth Warren is. Is she like, she in the middle of the stage? She looks like a little alien in there. Like,
Well, they put her next to Beto, who's like the tallest guy there.
Oh,
no,
really?
the tallest guy's Bill de Blasio. He's like 6'7".
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, Beto's like coming off terrible. Me and Adam never understood the appeal of Beto though. So him coming off terrible is no surprise.
Yeah.
Beto looks,
even though everyone was pretending like when he was running against Ted Cruz that he was like this amazing candidate, and as soon as he finished, it's like he's a nobody.
Yeah, I don't get it. He just comes off as like such a fucking stereotype of a politician. Like, oh, I talked to this guy and
He doesn't know how to move his body. He's like always moving his hands like, yeah. I'm gonna stand on top of things. Yeah, I'm on a car. I'm on a table.
I'm gonna point at things. I'm gonna tell stories about people I met.
And he does like the hand karate chop movements.
Exactly.
Everything he says,
it's just
yeah, he looks so unsure of himself. Like I just think he's like, are they buying this? Like he has this look in his eye, like, am I getting this right? Does this make sense to you?
It's like, please like me.
Yeah, it's desperation. His desperation.
When they asked him about the wall, it's like, are you gonna tear it down? He's like, I'm gonna tear it down, man.
And Klobuchar, to me, she's kind of like, she comes off as like the less charismatic Elizabeth Warren.
She just seems like generic politician 8004.
Yes.
Like she
Feel like
just
there's a
has
mold.
no soul.
She has no charisma. That's the problem. She's just kind of like, you're gonna forget about her tomorrow. You're gonna fall
It's like
asleep.
you look into her eyes and it's just dead.
Oh, that's a little far.
No, I mean,
don't know if I'd
she
go that
doesn't.
far.
It doesn't look like there's a person with a family there. It's just like a clone who came out of a lab, and it's like, I'm a politician.
That's
Yeah, it's just a giant mold that comes down.
I mean, she seems less personable than Hillary Clinton, if that's even possible.
I would agree with that.
She has a little bit of a tremble in her voice too.
Yeah, she does. She does.
Yeah.
I can't.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I can't picture Warren debating Trump successfully in the primary.
Not at all.
All right. There we go.
We believe we have the technical difficulties fixed.
Never
right,
say
Richard?
that.
Never say never, but we will march forward here, and I will lean forward here a little bit. Senator Warren, we're going to get to the
see how he slipped the lean forward in there?
Florida.
He slipped the lean
It's just
forward
north of
in.
here
He
in Broward
did.
County. As you know, it has created a lot of teenage activism on the gun issue. It has inspired a lot of you to come out with more robust plans to deal with guns, including assault weapons ban. But even if you're able to implement that, what do you do about the hundreds of millions of guns already out there? And does the federal government have to play a role in dealing with it?
So in this period of time that I've been running for president, I've had more than 100 town halls. I've taken more than 2,000 unfiltered questions. And the single hardest question I've gotten, I got one from a little boy and I got one from a little girl. And that is to say, when you're president, how are you going to keep us safe? That's our responsibility as adults. 7 children will die today from gun violence, children and teenagers. And they won't just die in mass shootings. They'll die on sidewalks, they'll die in playgrounds, they'll die in people's backyards. Gun violence is a national health emergency in this country, and we need to treat it like that. So what can we do? We can do the things that are sensible. We can do the universal background checks. We can ban the weapons of war. But we can also double down on the research and find out what really works, where it is that we can make the differences at the margins that will keep our children safe. We need to treat this like the virus that's killing our children.
But you didn't address, do you think the federal government needs to go and figure out a way to get the guns that are already out there?
What I think we need to do is we need to treat it like a serious research problem, which we have not done. You know, guns in the hands of a collector who's had them for decades, who's
No one's
never
gonna talk about
fired them,
grabbing
who
guns.
takes
Come on.
safety seriously. That's very different from guns that are sold and turned over quickly. We can't treat this as an across-the-board problem. We have to treat it like a public health emergency. That means bring data to bear, and it means make real change in this country, whether it's politically popular or not.
Senator Booker, you have a program.
Fight for our children.
Senator Booker.
So Trump said,
Oh, we got another one? Two
NBC
more?
should be ashamed of themselves for having what?
Go on.
Yeah, keep going. Don't pause it. Live.
Okay, fine. Well, jeez,
You
jeez.
have a federal government buyback program in your plan. How is that going to work?
Well, first of all, I want to say my colleague and I both have been hearing this on the campaign trail. But what's even worse is I hear gunshots in my neighborhood. I think I'm the only one, I hope I'm the only one on this panel here that had 7 people shot in their neighborhood just last week. Someone I knew, Shahad Smith, was killed with an assault rifle at the top of my block last year.
300 miles.
For millions of Americans, this is not a policy issue. This is an urgency. And for those who have not been directly affected, they're tired of living in a country where their kids go to school to learn about reading, writing, and arithmetic, and how to deal with an active shooter in their school. This is something that I'm tired of, and I'm tired of hearing people, all they have to offer is thoughts and prayers. In my faith, people say faith without works is dead.
Yeah, what's your
so
offer?
we will find a way. But the reason we have a problem right now is we've let the corporate gun lobby frame this debate. It is time that we have bold actions and a bold agenda. I will get that done as
What's
President
the bold
of the United States,
action?
because this is
No
not about
one's saying any
policy.
specific-
This is personal.
Thank you, Senator Booker.
It's personal. But I'm not going to tell you what I'm
Senator
going
Booker
to
just
do.
mentioned there the idea of active shooter drills in schools. As school shootings seem like an almost every day or every week occurrence now, they don't make a complete news cycle anymore, no matter the death toll. As parents are so afraid as their kids go off to school that their kids will be caught up in something like this, next to nothing has changed in federal law that might affect the prevalence of school shootings. Is this a problem that is going to continue to get worse over our lifetimes, or is there something that you would do as president that you really think would turn it around?
Yeah, Rachel, I'm the dad of a 10-year-old girl, Karina, who's here tonight. And the worst thing is knowing that your child might be worried about what could happen at school, a place that's supposed to be safe. The answer to your question is no, we don't have to accept that. And I believe that on January 20th, 2021, at 12:01 p.m., we're going to have a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate.
Nobody's going to answer the question. Someone could actually gain political points by saying nobody's
Activists
answering
in
the question.
Parkland, folks from Moms Demand,
then they'd
who have
have to answer it.
risen up across the
Yeah.
United States and inspired so many people. You know, we may not have seen yet legislative action, but we're getting closer. The House took a vote. In the Senate, the question often is if the decision is between 60 votes, a filibuster, or passing common sense gun reform, I'm going to choose common sense gun reform. So I believe that we're going to be able to get that done in 2021.
Secretary Castro, thank you.
Rachel, I have something to add to this briefly.
We'll give you 30 seconds for follow-up on that question, on that answer from Secretary Castro. Congressman Ryan.
You're talking about in the schools. These kids are traumatized. I support all the gun reforms here. We need to start dealing with the trauma that our kids have. We need trauma-based care in every school. We need social and emotional learning in every school. 90% of the shooters who do school shootings come from the school they're in, and 73% of them feel shamed, traumatized, or bullied. We need to make sure that these kids feel connected to the school. That means a mental health counselor in every single school in the United States. We need to start playing offense. If our kids are so traumatized that they're getting a gun and going into our schools, we're doing something wrong too, and we need reform around trauma-based care.
Congressman O'Rourke, you're a Texan who's you campaigned all over the state in 2018 in the most conservative parts there. What do you tell a gun owner who may agree with you on everything else? Okay, but says, you know what, the Democrats, if I vote for them in there, they're going to take my gun away. And even though I agree with you on all these other issues,
Beto's like trying to remember the question.
Here's how we had that conversation in Texas. I shared with them what I learned from those students who survived the Santa Fe high school shooting. A young student named Bree her friend Marcel, who survived another shooting, the mother of a victim who lost her life, Rhonda Hart. They talked about universal background checks where you close every loophole. We know that they save lives. Talked about ending the sales of assault weapons into our communities. Those weapons of war were designed to kill people as effectively and as efficiently as possible. They should belong on the battlefield and not in our communities. Red flag laws so that if someone poses a danger to themselves or to someone else, they're stopped before it's too late. And what I found in each one of those 254 counties is that Democrats and independents and Republicans, gun owners and non-gun owners alike agreed. But this effort must be led by the young people that you referenced at the beginning of this issue. Those students from Marjory Stoneman Douglas led the charge here in Florida, and they've been able to change those laws. They're making our democracy work, ensuring that our values and our interests and our priorities are reflected in the laws that we pass.
Thank you, Congressman O'Rourke. Hang on. Let me give 30 seconds. Senator Klobuchar, the Iron Range, I'm curious. Gun confiscation, right? If the government is buying back,
and none of them are
how do you not have that conversation?
Well, that's not confiscation. You would give them the offer to buy back their gun. But I'll say this. I look at these proposals and I say, does this hurt my Uncle Dick in his deer stand, coming from a proud hunting and fishing state? These proposals don't do that. When I was a prosecutor, I supported the assault weapon ban. When I was in the Senate, I saw those moms from Sandy Hook come and try to advocate for change, and we all failed. And then now these Parkland kids from Florida, they started literally a national shift. You know why? It's just like with gay marriage. When kids talk to their parents and their grandparents, they say, I don't understand why we can't put these sensible things in place. They listen. And if we get bested by a bunch of 17-year-olds, it's the best thing to ever happen.
Policy.
We need to
Senator, thank you.
Senator Booker, let me go to you on another matter, actually. Senator Mitch McConnell says that his most consequential achievement as Senate Majority Leader was preventing President Obama from filling a Supreme Court seat. Having served with Republicans on the Judiciary Committee, do you believe they would confirm your court nominees?
I'm going to use 20 of my seconds just to say there's one thing we don't all agree with when it comes to guns, and I think it's common sense, and over 70% of Americans agree with me. If you need a license to drive a car, you should need a license to buy and own a firearm. And not everybody in this field agrees with that, but in states like Connecticut that did that, they saw 40% drops in gun violence and 15% drops in suicides. We need to start having bold agendas on guns. When it comes to the Supreme Court, very clearly, I agree with my friend, Secretary Castro. We are going to get to 50 votes in the Senate. This is a team sport. Whoever is our nominee needs to campaign in places like South Carolina because we can elect Jamie Harrison. They need to campaign in places like Iowa because we can win a Senate seat there. This is about getting us back to having 50 votes in the Senate and more so that we can not only balance the Supreme Court, but start to pass an aggressive agenda that frankly isn't so aggressive because most of America agrees with the policy objectives of our party.
Mayor de Blasio, I want to jump in on this for a follow-up. Mayor de Blasio, you're using
we have to actually...
Congressman Delaney, you'll have some time in a moment on this issue. Congressman Delaney, I'll give you some time in a moment. Mayor de Blasio, as an executive in the largest city in this country, you are used to saying what you want to have happen and having it happen. If you nominate a Supreme Court nominee as President of the United States and Mitch McConnell is still Senate Majority Leader, what makes you believe that he would allow you to make a nominee?
Rachel, I am chief executive of the nation's largest city, and I also want to just say something quick on the gun issue and come to your question. Look, I run the largest police force in America, too, and if we're going to stop these shootings, we're going to get these guns off the street, we have to have a very different relationship between our police and our community. I also want to say there's something that sets me apart from all my colleagues running in this race, and that is for the last 21 years, I've been raising a black son in America.
Oh, my God.
And I have had to have very, very serious talks with my son, Dante, about how to protect himself on the streets of our city and all over this country, including how to deal with the fact that he has to take special caution because there have been too many tragedies between our young men and our police, too, as we saw recently in Indiana. So we need to have a different conversation in this country about guns, but also a different conversation about policing that brings police and community together. We've done that in New York City, and we've driven down crime while we've done it. But to your question about Mitch McConnell, there's a political solution that we have to come to grips with. If the Democratic Party would stop acting like the party of the elites and be the party of working people again and go into states, including red states, to convince people we're on their side, we can put pressure on their senators
So Cory
to
had
actually
the
have to
only
vote for
policy
the
prescription
nominees
for the gun
that are
stuff.
put forward
a
decent
license.
jurists who deserve
Everyone
that
else
right.
Thank you, Mayor de Blasio.
Senator Warren,
Well, Warren
I'm
talked
gonna
about
get you-
background
I will
checks and
get you
stuff like
30
that too,
I
but
promise,
she
let me
never
get
answered the
this
question.
We're trying. I know you guys, we got other issues we're trying to get to, including a big one coming up in a minute. But Senator Warren, I want to continue on the
I don't think
they're
the-
avoiding
McConnell
Tulsi
thing because you have a lot of ambitious
I don't think
plans. You have
our
a plan
chat
for that.
cares if we
Okay.
pause it.
We talked about the Supreme Court.
They're all
Do
saying
you
it's
have a plan
boring.
to deal with Mitch McConnell
Okay.
if
Well,
you don't
we have
beat him
something
in
to
the
say.
Senate? If he's still sitting there as the Senate Majority Leader, it's very plausible you be elected president with a Republican Senate. Do you have a plan to deal with Mitch McConnell?
I do.
Applause.
We are a democracy, and the way a democracy is supposed to work is the will of the people matters. Now, we for far too long have had a Congress in Washington that has just completely dismissed what people care about across this country. They have made this country work much better for those who can make giant contributions, made it work better for those who hire armies of lobbyists and lawyers, and not made it work for the people. Well, here's how I see this happening. Number one, sure, I want to see us get a Democratic majority in the Senate. But short of a Democratic majority in the Senate, you better understand the fight still goes on. It starts in the White House, and it means that everybody we energize in 2020 stays on the front lines come January 2021. We have to push from the outside, have leadership from the inside, and make this Congress reflect the will of the people.
I'm going to get a couple of you in here. I'm going to get you a couple in here. 30 seconds. Congressman Delaney, you seem to believe you can do everything in a bipartisan manner. Mitch McConnell doesn't operate that way. He operates differently. Why do you think he is going to conform to your style?
Kill him.
I think we need to get things done. That's why I believe we need to operate in a bipartisan manner. Listen, I'll sign into law bills that come to the White House that are passed on a party line basis, absolutely. But all the big transformative things we've ever done in this country's history have happened when huge majorities of the American people get behind them, which is why we need real solutions, not impossible promises. We need to put forth ideas that work, whether it's on health care, creating universal health care so that every American gets health care, but not running on making private insurance illegal. Okay. The gun issue is related. The gun safety issue is related because I can't tell you how many times I've been with folks in Western Maryland, and they've said to me, you know, Democrats don't do anything for us. Republicans don't do anything for us. You fight all the time, so they vote on that single issue.
Okay,
if we become the party of getting things done for the American people
Senator
with real solutions, not impossible promises,
Waste of an answer
we'll
time.
be able to get all
I
these
promise
things
two
done.
30s here. I'm going to say, Senator Booker, 30 seconds. How do you deal with Mitch McConnell? You've been in the Senate. You can't get bills on the floor right now with Mitch McConnell. Presidents can't do it. Is President Booker going to get his bills on the floor with Senator McConnell?
You know, when I got to the United States Senate, going back to what de Blasio said, as an African-American man in an African-American dominated community, I knew one of the biggest issues was criminal justice reform. From police accountability to dealing with the fact that we have a nation that has more African-Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves in 1850. And when I got to the Senate, people told me we could not get a comprehensive criminal justice reform bill done. And as my colleagues in the Senate know, I fought on that bill from the day I got to the Senate, built coalitions across the aisle, and today we passed the First Step Act. It's not as far as I want to go, but thousands of people will be liberated. I've taken on tough problems people said we cannot achieve, and I've been able to get things accomplished.
Thank you, Senator Booker. Rachel's got the next question.
Hold on, Governor, you're going to be happy with where we go. Governor Inslee, this next question
They've been really
is to
pushing
you.
Booker this whole debate.
You got me?
I think he's going to be the one that's going to come out.
I feel like they've been pushing.
You have staked
Warren
your
a little
candidacy
bit.
on the issue of climate
Well, yeah,
change.
but that was expected.
It is
wasn't
first,
She was the
second,
front
and
runner
third
in this-
priority
out of
for
this
you. You
crop.
said it's all the issues. Let's get specific.
But yeah, you're
We're
right.
here in
for where
Miami,
he's
which is
standing in the
already
polls, they are
experiencing
kind of pushing
serious
Booker a
flooding
bit.
on
They're
sunny
ignoring the
days
fuck out
as a
of
result
Tulsi,
of sea level rise. Parts of Miami Beach and the Keys could be underwater in our lifetimes. Does your plan
Well, to be fair, they're
save
ignoring
Miami?
everyone who's like outside of that.
First by taking
four
away the
people in the middle.
filibuster from Mitch McConnell to start with.
No, but
we
they're
have
giving
to do that.
everyone more
Look at-
questions than
look at-
Tulsi. I feel like she's gotten
We
the
are the
least out of
first
everybody.
generation to feel the
Maybe.
sting of climate change. And we are the last that can do something about it. Our towns are burning. Our fields are flooding. Miami is inundated. And we have to understand this is a climate crisis, an emergency. And it is our last chance in the administration, next one, to do something about it. And we need to do what I've done in my state. We've passed a 100% clean electrical grid bill. We now have a vision statement, and my plan has been called the gold standard of putting people to work. But the most important thing on this, and the biggest decision for the American public, is who's going to make this the first priority. And I am the candidate and the only one who's saying this has to be the top priority of the United States, the organizing principle
but it is my
to
top
mobilize
priority.
the United States so that we can do what we've always done, lead the world and
With
invent
rhetoric.
the future and put 8 million people to work.
Governor,
that's what we're going to do.
Governor,
Congressman O'Rourke, you've also put out a big climate change plan from your campaign. You want some big changes in a pretty short period of time, including switching to renewable energy, pushing to replace gas-powered cars in favor of electric ones. What's your message to a voter who supports the overall goal of what you're trying to do, but suddenly feels as if government's telling them how to live and ordering them how to live? What is that balance like?
I think you've got to bring everybody in to the decisions and the solutions to the challenges that we face. That's why we're traveling everywhere, listening to everyone. We were in Pacific Junction, a town that had never meaningfully flooded before, just up against the Missouri River in Iowa. And every home in that community had flooded. There were farms just outside of Pacific Junction that were effectively lakes. Those farmers already underwater in debt. Their markets closed to them by a trade war under this administration, and now they don't know what to do. We, in our administration, are going to fund resiliency in those communities, in Miami, in Houston, Texas, those places that are on the front lines of climate change today. We're going to mobilize $5 trillion in this economy over the next 10 years. We're going to free ourselves from a dependence on fossil fuels, and we're going to put farmers and ranchers in the driver's seat. Renewable and sustainable agriculture to make sure that we capture more carbon out of the air and keep more of it in the soil, paying farmers for the environmental services that they want to provide. If all of us does all that we can, then we're going to be able to keep this planet from warming another 2 degrees Celsius and ensure that we match what this country can do and live up to our promise and our potential.
30 seconds, Secretary Castro.
We always got to live up to our potential.
Who pays for the mitigation to climate, whether it's building seawalls, for people that are perhaps living in places that they shouldn't be living? Is this a federal government issue that needs to do that? Do they have to move these people? What do you do about that where maybe they're building a house someplace that isn't safe? Who pays to build that house? And how much should the government be bailing them out?
Well, I don't think that represents the vast majority of the issue. In fact, my first visit after I announced my candidacy wasn't to Iowa or New Hampshire, it was to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Because people should know that if I'm elected president, everybody will count. And I'm one of the few candidates in this race with executive experience, with a track record of getting things done. When I was mayor of San Antonio, we moved our local public utility. We began to shift it from coal-fired plants to solar and other renewables, and also created more than 800 jobs doing that. And when I was HUD Secretary, we worked on the National Disaster Resilience Competition to invest in communities that were trying to rebuild from natural disasters in a sustainable way. That's the way that we're going to help make sure that we're all safer in the years to come and that we combat climate change. And if I'm elected president, the first thing that I would do, like Senator Klobuchar also has said, is sign an executive order recommitting us to the Paris Climate Accord so that we lead again.
Congressman Ryan, I got a full question for you here, which is simply this. There are a lot of the climate plans include pricing carbon, taxing carbon in some way. This type of proposal has been tried in a few places, whether it's Washington State, where voters voted it down. You had the Yellow Vest movement. We had in Australia one party get rejected out of fear of the cost of climate change sort of being put on the backs of the consumer. If pricing carbon is just politically impossible, how do we pay for climate mitigation?
Well, there's a variety of different ways to pay. We talk about different ways of raising revenue, and I think we've got to build our way out of this and grow our way out of it. But let me just talk real quick to the previous question about real politics. We could talk about climate, we could talk about guns, we could talk about all of these issues that we all care about. We have a perception problem with the Democratic Party. We are not connecting to the working class people in the very states that I represent, in Ohio, in the industrial Midwest. We've lost all connection. That we have got to change the center of gravity of the Democratic Party from being coastal and elitist and Ivy League, which is the perception, to somebody from the forgotten communities that have been left behind for the last 30 years, to get those workers back on our side so we can say we're going to build electric vehicles, we're going to build solar panels. But if you want to beat Mitch McConnell, this better be a working class party if you want to go into Kentucky and take his rear end out. And if you want to take Lindsey Graham out, you got to have a blue collar party that can go into the textile communities in South Carolina. So all I'm saying here,
thank you, Congressman
all I'm saying here
Thank you, Congressman Ryan.
All I'm saying is here, if we don't address that fundamental problem with our connection to workers, white, black, brown, gay, straight, working class people, none of this is going to get done, Chuck.
Thank you very much. We're going to keep moving. Congressman Delaney, I'm going to get to you.
I introduced the only bipartisan carbon tax bill in the Congress.
All right. 30 seconds, go.
All the economists agree that a carbon pricing mechanism works. You just have to do it right. You can't put a price on carbon, raise energy prices, and not give the money back to the American people. My proposal, which is put a price on carbon, give a dividend back to the American people. It goes out one pocket, back in the other.
Thank you,
I can get that passed my first year as president with a coalition of every Democrat in the Congress and the Republicans who live in coastal states. Because Republicans in Florida, they actually care about this issue. This has got to be our way forward if we're actually serious about this issue.
Congresswoman Gabbard.
Finally.
One of the first things you did after launching your campaign was to issue an apology to the LGBTQ community about your past stances and statements on gay rights.
Oh my God.
After the Trump administration's rollbacks of civil rights protections for many in that community, why should voters in that community or voters that care about this issue in general trust you now?
Let me say that there is no one in our government at any level who has the right to tell any American who they should be allowed to love or who they should be allowed to marry. My record in Congress for over 6 years shows my commitment to fighting for LGBTQ equality. I serve on the Equality Caucus and recently voted for passage of the Equality Act. Maybe many people in this country can relate to the fact that I grew up in a socially conservative home, held views when I was very young that I no longer hold today. I've served with LGBTQ service members, both in training and deployed downrange. I know that they would give their life for me, and I would give my life for them. It is this commitment that I'll carry through as President of the United States, recognizing that there are still people who are facing discrimination in the workplace, still people who are unable to find a home for their families. It is this kind of discrimination that we need to address.
But it's not enough. It's not enough.
Tulsi's done.
It's very
She's done.
30
Sorry,
seconds. Not
it's
enough.
over. She's lost.
Look, civil rights is some place to begin, but in the African-American civil rights community, another place to focus on was to stop the lynching of African-Americans. We do not talk enough about trans Americans, especially African-American trans Americans, and the incredibly high rates of murder right now.
You guys are a bunch of trans folks, man. Jeez.
Come on,
30% of
you gotta
LGBTQ kids
you gotta learn
do
from
not go
Cory.
to
Because
school
everybody knows
because of
trans
fear.
murder
It's
is
not
the
enough just to be
biggest
on the
issue.
Equality Act. I'm an original co-sponsor. We need to have a president that will fight to protect LGBTQ Americans every single day from violence.
Thank you, Senator Booker.
Senator Klobuchar, let me put this to you. On the issue of civil rights, for decades, on the issue of civil rights and demographics, honestly, and politics, for decades, the Democratic Party has counted on African-American voter turnout as step one to winning elections on a national level. Democrats are counting on the Latino community now and in the future in the same way. What have you done for Black and Latino voters that should enthuse them about going to the polls for you if you're your party's nominee?
My life and my career and my work in the Senate has been about economic opportunity. And to me, this means better child care for everyone in this country. And when you want to have an economy that works, you need to have retirement that works. You need to have public schools that work. And you also need to make sure that those communities are able to get those jobs of the future, the STEM jobs. In fact, Donald Trump, one of the first bills that he signed, of the 34 he signed where I was the lead Democrat, okay, that's a first up here, was one that was about that, making sure minority community members could share in those jobs. So to me, this is about a few things. It's about an African-American woman that goes to a hospital in New Orleans, says her hands are swollen, and then doctor ignores her and her baby dies. It's about the fact that African-American women make 61 cents for every dollar a white man makes. So in short, we need to, one, and I will do this in my first 100 days as president, we will work to make sure everyone can vote at this table. Everyone can vote in this country. And we will also go to the next step of criminal justice reform.
What about the 12-year-olds?
Senator Booker and I worked on that First Step Act.
No
but we should go to the Second Step Act.
Think about the 12-year-olds.
Which is to help all our communities across.
Senator, thank you very much. 30-second follow-up to you. Secretary Castro, this is a 70% Latino city here in Miami. You are the only Latino Democrat who is running this year in the presidential race. Is that enough of an answer? What Senator Klobuchar is describing there, an economic justice agenda, is that enough to mobilize Latino voters to stand with the Democratic Party in a big way?
Well, I also think that we have to recognize racial and social justice. And, you know, I was in Charleston not too long ago, and I remembered that Dylan Roof went to the Mother Emanuel AME Church, and he murdered 9 people who were worshiping, and then he was apprehended by police without incident. Well, but what about Eric Garner and Tamir Rice and Laquan McDonald and Sandra Bland and Pamela Turner and Antonio Arce? I'm proud that I'm the only candidate so far that has put forward legislation that would reform our policing system in America and make sure that no matter what the color of your skin is, that you're treated the same, including Latinos who are mistreated too oftentimes by police.
Secretary Castro, thank you.
Let me go over to Lester Horn, who's got a question, I believe, a viewer question.
I'm over here, Chuck. Thanks. We ask voters from across the country to submit their questions to the candidates. Let me read one now. This comes from John in New York, who submitted this question.
They didn't answer any of your questions. Now
does the United States have a responsibility to protect in the case of genocide or crimes against humanity? Do we have a responsibility to intervene, to protect people threatened by their governments, even when atrocities do not affect American core interests? I'd like to direct that question to Congressman O'Rourke.
John, I appreciate the question. The answer is yes, but that action should always be undertaken with allies and partners and friends. When the United States presents a united front, we have a much better chance of achieving our foreign policy aims and preventing the kind of genocide to which you refer, the kind of genocide that we saw in Rwanda, the kind of genocide we want to stop going forward. But unfortunately, under this administration, President Trump has alienated our allies and our friends and our alliances. He's diminished our standing in the world, and he's made us weaker as a country, less able to confront challenges, whether it's Iran or North Korea or Vladimir Putin in Russia, who attacked and invaded our democracy in 2016, and who President Trump has offered another invitation to do the same. He's embraced strongmen and dictators at the expense of the great democracies. As president, I will make sure that we live our values in our foreign policy. I will ensure that we strengthen those alliances and partnerships and friendships and meet any challenge that we face together. That makes America stronger.
Doormat.
Congressman O'Rourke, what about the War Powers Act being a part of that equation? With deep respect to the congressman, look, we've learned painful lessons as Americans, that we've gone to war without congressional authorization. And look, this is very personal for me. I know the cost of war. My dad served in the Pacific in World War II in the U.S. Army. Battle of Okinawa, had half his leg blown off, and he came home with scars, both physical and emotional, and he did not recover. He spiraled downward, and he ultimately took his own life. And that battle didn't kill him, but that war did. And look, even in the humanitarian crisis, and I think we should be ready, Congressman, to intervene. God forbid there is a genocide, but not without congressional approval. Democrats and Republicans, both in the Congress, have not challenged presidents and have let them get away with running the military without the congressional approval. We learned a lesson in Vietnam we seem to have forgotten. The decisions have to be made by the United States.
I want to pick up on that point, and I want to put this to Congressman Ryan. Today, the Taliban claimed responsibility for killing 2 American service members in Afghanistan. Leaders as disparate as President Obama and President Trump have both said that they want to end U.S. involvement in Afghanistan, but it isn't over for America. Why isn't it over? Why can't presidents of very different parties and very different temperaments get us out of there, and how could you?
I appreciate that question. So I've been in Congress 17 years, And 12 of those years, I've sat on the Armed Services Committee, either the Defense Appropriations Committee or the Armed Services Committee. And the lesson that I've learned over the years is that you have to stay engaged in these situations. Nobody likes it. It's long. It's tedious. But right now we have, so I would say we must be engaged in this. We must have our State Department engaged. We must have our military engaged to the extent they need to be. But the reality of it is this president doesn't even have people appointed in the State Department to deal with these things. Whether we're talking about Central America, whether we're talking about Iran, whether we're talking about Afghanistan, we've got to be completely engaged. And here's why. Because these flare-ups distract us from the real problems in the country. If getting drones shot down for $130 million because the president is distracted, that's $130 million that we could be spending in places like Youngstown, Ohio, or Flint, Michigan, or rebuilding.
Congresswoman Gabbard, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, actually, to jump off what he said. He described engagement as the problem. Is that what you will tell
the parents of those 2 soldiers who were just killed in Afghanistan? Well, we just have to be engaged. As a soldier, I will tell you that answer is unacceptable. We have to bring our troops home from Afghanistan. We are in a place in Afghanistan where we have lost so many lives. We've spent so much money, money that's coming out of every one of our pockets, money that should be going into communities here at home, meeting the needs of the people here at home. We are no better off in Afghanistan today than we were when this war began. This is why it's so important to have a president and commander-in-chief who knows the cost of war and who's ready to do the job on day one. I am ready to do that job when I walk into the Oval Office.
Weak answer. What's going on?
I'm going to go down the line here. Well, you know what? You felt like she was responding. You get 30 seconds.
Very
go.
good man.
Fair
I
enough.
appreciate that.
I hear what you're saying.
I would just say I don't want to be engaged. I wish we were spending all this money in places that I've represented that have been completely forgotten and we were rebuilding. But the reality of it is, if the United States isn't engaged, the Taliban will grow and they will have bigger.
They're going to get bigger rocks. Holy shit!
We have got to have some present there.
The Taliban was there long before we came in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we cannot keep U.S. troops deployed to Afghanistan thinking that we're going to somehow squash this Taliban that has been there, that every other country that's tried
I didn't say squash them. When we weren't in there, they started flying planes into our buildings. So I'm just saying right now,
the Taliban didn't attack us on 9/11. Al-Qaeda did.
Well, I understand.
Attacked us on 9/11.
I understand.
That's why I and so many other people joined the military to go against Al-Qaeda, not the Taliban.
The Taliban was protecting those people who were plotting against us. All I'm saying is, if we want to go into elections and we want to say that we got to withdraw from the world, that's what President Trump is saying. We can't. I would love for us to.
Protecting Al-Qaeda right now in Saudi Arabia.
I want to go down the line here, finish up foreign policy. It's a simple question. What is the biggest threat to who is the geopolitical threat to the United States? Just give me a one-word answer,
Russia.
Congressman Delaney.
Could you repeat the question?
Greatest geopolitical threat to the United States right now, Congressman Delaney?
Well, the biggest geopolitical challenge is China, but the biggest geopolitical threat remains nuclear weapons.
Okay.
Right? So those are different questions.
Totally get it. Go ahead, Governor Inslee.
The biggest threat to the security of the United States is Donald Trump. And there's no
greatest geopolitical threat.
The greatest threat that we face is the fact that we are at a greater risk of nuclear war today than ever before in history.
Senator
Two threats: economic threat, China, but our major threat right now is what's going on in the Mideast with Iran. If we don't get our
try to keep it at slimmer than what we've been going here. One or two words.
Our existential threat is climate change. We have to confront it before it's too late.
Senator
Climate change.
Yeah, Senator Booker.
Nuclear proliferation and climate change.
Secretary Castro.
Say China and climate change.
Yeah, Congressman Ryan.
China, without a question, they're wiping us around the world economically.
And Mr. Mayor.
Russia, because they're trying to undermine our democracy, and they've been doing a pretty damn good job of it. We need to stop
You just got them.
All right. Well, thank you for that wide variety of answers, and I mean that. No, I mean that that's what this debate is about. This is the best part of a debate like this. Congressman O'Rourke. Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report outlines multiple instances of potential criminal behavior by President Trump. House Speaker Pelosi has publicly and privately resisted any move toward impeachment in the House. If the House chooses not to impeach, as president, would you do anything to address the potential crimes that were outlined in Mr. Mueller's report?
Yes, and I'll tell you why.
How, by the way, if the answer is yes?
One of the most powerful pieces of art in the United States Capitol is the Trumbull painting of General George Washington resigning his commission to the Continental Congress at the height of his power, submitting to the rule of law and the will of people. That has withstood the test of time for the last 243 years. If we set another precedent now, that a candidate who invited the participation of a foreign power, a president who sought to obstruct the investigation into the invasion of our democracy, if we allow him to get away with this with complete impunity, then we will have set a new standard, and that is that some people, because of the position of power and public trust that they hold, are above the law, and we cannot allow that to stand. So we must begin impeachment now so that we have the facts and the truth, and we follow them as far as they go and as high up as they reach, and we save this democracy. And if we've not been able to do that in this year or the year that follows, and under my administration, our Department of Justice will pursue these facts and ensure that there are consequences, there is accountability, and there is justice. It's the only way that we save this country. Thank you, Congressman O'Rourke.
If the Senate doesn't,
you would be accountable.
Because of the accountability issues that Congressman O'Rourke was just describing there, and the real political landscape in which Nancy Pelosi is saying that impeachment will not be pursued in the House. It raises the prospect, and the Mueller report raises the prospect that President Trump could be prosecuted for some of those potential crimes down the line.
The aura of it.
No U.S. president has ever been prosecuted for crimes after leaving office.
Kids were
Do
going
you
to
believe that
Wally
President Trump could
This
or
just
should be
became
the
the Rachel
first?
Maddow
I guess there's
show.
always a first.
You're right.
I don't think anyone's above the law.
Where's the Trump feed?
I don't think
Trump's gotta
anyone
be
is above the
tweeting
law,
about this.
including a president. I support Speaker
New tweet
Pelosi's
right here.
decisions
Oh,
that
look,
she's
he tweeted-
making in the House of Representatives right
tweeted
now
the
as
Trump
Speaker.
forever.
I think she knows more about the decision as to whether to impeach the president than any of the 2020 candidates combined.
That's funny.
So, but I do think no one's above the law, and this president, who is lawless, should not be above the law. But I will tell you, Rachel, the one thing when you're after doing as much campaigning as I've done, 400 events,
No one's gonna answer
all
this
99 counties in Iowa,
Why
this
not?
is
It's
not
an
the number
easy
one
question
issue
to
the American
answer,
people
because
ask
none of
us
them
about.
want to stake a
It's not.
position
They
on
want to
whether
know
they're
what we're
gonna
going to do for health care,
go-
how we're
like
going to
the
lower
kind of precedent
pharmaceutical
that
prices,
sets to go
how
after
we're going to
the
build
president if he
infrastructure,
loses.
what we're going to do to create jobs in their communities. You know, last year in our country, 80% of the money for startup
say you would
businesses
get an attorney
went to
general who would
50
look into it
counties
and
in
get
this
a
country.
special
There's over
prosecutor, blah, blah,
3,000
blah, or
counties in this
something like
country.
that.
That's
See, well,
what
there
they
you go.
care about.
That's the perfect
They care
answer.
about
Why
what's
aren't you
going
on
on in the
this
public schools. They care about what's going on with jobs in their communities, with their pay, with their health care, with infrastructure. These are the issues. These kind of kitchen table, pocketbook issues are actually what most Americans care about. They never ask about the Mueller report.
Thank you. Your time is up.
They never ask about it. They want to know how we're going to solve these problems.
time, sir.
Here's the thing. I still.
You're talking to
Senator,
Rachel Maddow here. She's obsessed.
Republicans run our election.
She cares.
And if we do not do something about Russian interference in the election, and we let Mitch McConnell stop all the backup paper ballots, then we're not going to get what we want to do.
I got to sneak in. We blew through a break, which was good news to give you more time, so I got to sneak one in now. More of this debate.
Yeah, but we already got an
here.
extra break.
Read some super chats, Sitch.
difficulties.
Read some super chats. People are complaining in the chat.
So, all right, we got a bunch.
Yeah. Got 4 minutes. Everyone
Non-Vita
hates
Rex
us.
for $5 says, "Hey guys, really enjoyed the debate earlier. I do have one question though, Adam. Why do you hate Jesus?"
I love Jesus. Okay. I'm one of the few atheists for Jesus here. So I even have a T-shirt that says "Atheist for Jesus."
Yeah, those that don't know, Adam had a debate about whether there's historical evidence for Jesus' resurrection earlier in the day, and you can find that on his channel.
Yes.
Man Face World for $5 says, "If only 12-year-olds could vote, then Beto would skate on stage, do a 360 kickflip." Sorry.
Yeah, he probably would. At least we get to see that cringy nonsense.
Caffeine Tweaker for $2 Canadian says, "Can confirm Adam 1v1'd his house earlier and lost."
Yeah, exactly. I was doing construction. I told
you
her I
lost.
lost, but
Oh, okay. She stole your joke, is what you're saying.
yeah.
Taylor Ramirez for $2 says, "The candidates start by stating their identities."
Oh my god.
They sure did. That's an excellent point. And Taylor Ramirez for another $2 says, Castro's eyebrows terrify me. He has a very like George Takei kind of look going on.
He terrifies me. He does not. That not presidential. Sorry, guys.
Someone said he looks like a roughed up Andrew Yang.
Maybe so.
Oh my God, you're right. He does look like a rough. That's really funny. That's completely true. Matthew Ivy for $5 says, please consider getting Louis Lava on. He's a bit of a spurg, but the good kind. He's a hard civic nationalist, and his videos are super cathartic to watch.
We'll have to look him up.
Sure. I believe I saw wasn't he the one that streamed Sargon, the Sargon stream that got him in trouble, or was that someone else?
Yeah, no.
No,
He's
that was
friends with
Caitlyn,
Sargon,
wasn't it?
definitely. No, you're right. That's Caitlyn. Yeah, you're right.
Taylor Ramirez for another $2. Thank you very much. Says Latinx Pocahontas doesn't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
That's right.
She
Not a
stole
real
the wrong
word.
She appropriated the wrong culture this time.
Exactly. Grammartron 3000 for $5 says she didn't even remotely answer the question. I mean, that's the theme you're going to get for any debate, really. No one, barely anyone ever answers any of these questions. They just kind of, you don't gain much from answering the question. You gain more from just giving a talking.
They were talking about like the Congress approving the war. They don't want to take a stand on a war bill. Are you kidding me? That's the last thing they want to vote on. They're like, more presidential power, more plausible deniability for us. This is great. Like it's total bullshit what they're talking.
Right. They don't want to take. I mean, they're right. Congress does need to vote for war, but it is easier to punt it away.
Yeah. They haven't been voting for war since Vietnam. Are you kidding? Well, Vietnam was a police action.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's funny.
No, I mean, it's not even Vietnam. Even the Korean War wasn't declared either. It was since World War II was the last declared war.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's none of these are real wars.
That's terrible.
Come on. Welcome to the real world.
Right,
Welcome to politics.
Begin with former Congressman Delaney.
Closing now?
Closing.
Okay, 45 seconds.
Thank God.
We could go on.
Together, we are on a mission. We're on a mission to find the America that's been lost. Lost through infighting, lost through inaction. We're so much better than this. We're a country that used to do things. We saved the world. We created the American dream for millions of people like myself. The grandson of immigrants,
does this end in Make
the son of
America
a union
Great Again? It
electrician
feels a
who
little
went on
bit
to
like
become
that.
a successful business
like
leader
that.
and create thousands of jobs. But we did these things with real solutions, not with impossible promises. And those are the roots that we have to get back to. I'm running for president to solve these problems, to build infrastructure, to fix our broken healthcare system, to invest in communities that have been left behind, to improve public education. I just don't want to be your president to be your president.
Your 45 seconds
I want to be your president to do the job.
Thank you,
this
sir.
is not about me. This is about getting America
Democrats
working
circa
again.
1985.
Make America great again. Get America working again.
Mayor, your closing statement.
It matters. It matters in this fight for the heart and soul of our party that we nominate a candidate who has seen the face of poverty and didn't just talk about it, but gave people $15 minimum wage. It matters that we nominate a candidate who saw the destruction wrought by a broken health care system and gave people universal health care. It matters that we choose someone who saw the wasted potential of our children denied pre-K and gave it to every single one of them for free. These things really matter. And these are the things that I've done in New York, and I want to do the same for this whole country. Because putting working people first, it matters. We need to be that party again. Let's work together. With your help, we can put working people first again in America.
Thank you, Mayor.
Pre-K is a bad program.
So much better.
Governor Inslee, 45 seconds.
Trinity and I have 3 grandchildren. We love them all. And when I was thinking about whether to run for president, I made a decision. I decided that on my last day on earth, I wanted to look them in the eye and tell them I did everything humanly possible to protect them from the ravages of the climate crisis. And I know to a moral certainty, if we do not have the next president who commits to this as the top priority, it won't get done. And I am the only candidate, frankly, I'm surprised. I am the only candidate who's made this commitment to make it the top priority. If you join me in that recognition of how important this is.
If 12-year-olds could vote at him.
We can have a unified national mission. We can save ourselves. We can save our children. We can save our grandchildren. And we can save literally the life on this planet. This is our moment.
Governor, thank you.
Congressman Ryan, your 45 seconds.
There's nothing worse than not being heard. Nothing worse than not being seen, and I know that because I've represented for 17 years in Congress a forgotten community. They've tried to divide us, who's white, who's black, who's gay, who's straight, who's a man, who's a woman, and they ran away with all the gold because they divided the working class. It's time for us to come together. I don't know how you feel, but I'm ready to play some offense. I come from the middle of industrial America, but these problems are all over our country. There's a tent city in LA. There's homeless people and people around our country who can't afford
I like what he says,
home.
but, you know,
it's
he's on
time
the
for us to
spectrum.
get
Face
back
isn't
on track.
expressive at all. Like his
The teacher
eyebrows
in
don't
Texas,
move.
the nurse in
He's
New
on the
Hampshire,
spectrum. He
the
can't
waitress
win. I
in
think we can
Wisconsin,
have an
all of
autistic
us coming together, playing offense with an agenda that lifts everybody up. I will only promise you one thing. When I walk into that Oval Office every morning, you will not be forgotten. Your voice will be heard. Thank you.
And my Botox injection.
45 seconds for your closing.
You know, our nation was founded on the principles of service above self. People who fled kings who literally prospered on the backs and the sacrifices of people. Coming here to this country, instead putting in place a government that is of, by, and for the people. But that's not what we have. Instead, we have a government that is of, by, and for the rich and powerful. This must end. As president, our White House will be a beacon of light, providing hope and opportunity, ushering in a new century where every single person will be able to get the health care they need, where we will have clean air to breathe and clean water to drink, where we will have good-paying jobs in a new green economy. Join me in ushering in this new century with peace, prosperity, opportunity, and justice for all.
Congresswoman, thank you.
Secretary Castro, you have 45 seconds, sir.
He's done.
Me llamo Julián Castro
God.
y estoy postulando
Finally.
por presidente de los Estados Unidos.
There we go.
The very fact that I can say that tonight shows the progress that we have made in this country. Like many of you, I know the promise of America. My grandmother came here when she was 7 years old as an immigrant from Mexico. And just 2 generations later, one of her grandsons is serving in the United States Congress, and the other one is running for president of the United States. If I'm elected president, I will work hard every single day so that you and your family can get good health care, your child can get a good education, and that you can have good job opportunities, whether you live in a big city or a small town. And on January 20th, 2021, we'll say adios to Donald Trump.
Oh, my God.
Senator Klobuchar, the floor is yours.
3 things to know about me. First, I listen to people, and that's how I get things done.
Oh.
That is my focus. I have a track record of passing over 100 bills where I'm the lead Democrat,
And I eat mayonnaise out of with a spoon out of
and
the
I
jar.
acted. And I think that's important in a president.
She puts on the white bread
Everything else just melts away. Secondly, I'm someone that can win and beat Donald Trump. I have won every place, every race, and every time. I have won in the reddest of districts, ones that Donald Trump won by over 20 points. I can win in states like Wisconsin and Iowa
I don't believe
and
that for
in
a second.
Michigan.
Is
and
this
finally,
delusional stuff playing
I am not
well?
the
I don't know.
establishment party candidate. I've got respect, but I'm not that person. I am the one that doesn't have a political machine that doesn't come from money. And I don't make all the promises that everyone up here makes, but I can promise you this.
Ooh,
I'm going to govern with integrity.
I'm the little
going to
candidate
have your
who
back,
could.
and I'm going to govern for you.
Thank you, Senator.
Senador Booker, sus 45 segundos.
Gracias.
Oh, it's a Spanish
50 years
song.
ago this month,
Gracias.
my family moved into the town I grew up in because after being denied a house because of the color of their skin, it was activists, mostly white
my God.
activists, that stood up and fought for them. That's the best of who we are as America, and why when I got out of law school, I moved into the inner city of Newark to fight as a tenant lawyer for other people's rights. I've taken on bullies and beat them. I've taken on tough fights, and we've won. And we win those fights not by showing the worst of who we are, but rising to who's best. Donald Trump wants us to fight him on his turf and his terms. We will beat him. I will beat him by calling this country to a sense of common purpose again. This is a referendum on him and getting rid of him, but it's also a referendum on us, who we are and who we must be to each other. It's time we win this election, and the way I'll govern is by showing the best of who we are, because that's what this country needs and deserves.
Thank you.
Congressman O'Rourke, 45 seconds.
Our daughter Molly turned 11 this week. I'm on this stage for her, for children across this country, including some her same age who've been separated from their parents and are sleeping on concrete floors under aluminum blankets tonight. If we're going to be there for them, if we're going to confront the challenges that we face, we can't return to the same old approach. We're going to need a new kind of politics, one directed by the urgency of the next generation. Those climate activists who are fighting not just for their future, but for everyone's. Those students marching not just for their lives, but for all of ours. We'll need a movement like the one that we led in Texas. It renewed our democracy by bringing everyone in and writing nobody off.
The movement where he lost?
That's how we beat
What is he talking
Donald
about?
Trump. That's how we bring this great country together again. Join us. This is our moment, and the generations that follow are counting on us to meet it.
Thank you, Congressman.
Senator Warren, you have 45 seconds for the final.
Oh, Warren's
final
still there. I forgot about her.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be here. Never in a million years did I think I would stand on a stage like this. I was born and raised in Oklahoma. I have 3 older brothers. They all joined the military. I had a dream growing up, and my dream was to be a public school teacher. By the time I graduated from high school, my family didn't have the money for a college application, much less a chance for me to go to college. But I got my chance. It was a $50 a semester commuter college. That was a little slice of government that created some opportunity for a girl, and it opened my life. I am in this fight because I believe that we can make our government, we can make our economy, we can make our country work, not just for those at the top. We can make it work for everyone, and I promise you this, I will fight for you as hard as I fight for my own family.
We would like to thank all of the candidates who participated with us tonight, and that will do it for night 1 of this 2-night event. And guess what? We've got 10 more candidates tomorrow night.
We certainly hope you will join us then, but for now, that concludes our coverage of this first Democratic debate from Miami. For Savannah, Jose, Chuck.
Okay, so Warren's going to go up. Cory Booker's going to go way up.
Mute your thing.
Well, yeah, he got the most speaking time.
What'd you say,
Like, don't pause it. Just mute it. Turn it off.
But it's over.
Well, yeah, it's over.
But turn it down so you let the, I
Oh,
want to see this. I want to see Rachel Maddow blabber about nonsense.
Right. I think Castro's going to go up slightly, and I think everyone else is going to drop. Is going to go down or disappear.
Castro? You think Castro's going to, I guess.
I think people are going to I said slightly. I think he's going to get a little bit.
You don't think the Blasio will go up just even a little bit?
No, I meant to say, Blasio, Castro, Booker, and Warren, I think, will go up.
Yeah.
Everyone else will not.
I think maybe the governor of Washington might go up by like a point or two, but it'll be a short-term bump.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. He said, I think it was him. He had an interesting idea. I hated most of what he said, but he had an interesting idea about instead of trying to get the government to prescribe specific economic measures on companies, just strengthen unions again, to have them figure it out, which I think is a good idea. But that's me.
Do you think the Spanish thing is going to get talked about?
I think the Spanish thing is going to get talked about a fuck ton.
Okay. Everyone's going to say how brave it was and how.
Well, here I think Beto did terribly. So normally I would have thought he would get completely kicked out after this, but I think some of the Voxes and the kind of online publications are going to defend him so fiercely for being so brave to talk in Spanish for so long on stage that will actually breathe some life into him after this terrible performance.
We had Spanish speakers in the chat saying that they sounded terrible, that they had terrible accent. Like I was thinking, how can you win? Like you sound like a gringo. You're not even speaking Spanish correctly. I used to work at this place, and the guy, one of our managers could speak Spanish, and all the Mexican guys were like, "Oh, we hate his Spanish. He talks like like he's got a stick up his ass, basically."
Right, and Beto's not even, he's white. He's not Hispanic at all. Like, he's just a white boy.
Like, pure Irish.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe it will. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter. The far left online publications don't care about Latin people. They just care about virtue signaling to them.
I know, it's all virtue signaling. It's terrible. They asked questions about, are the jobs coming back? And nobody seemed to give any cogent answers on that. And I'm asking, I made a note of it because like that's Yang's entire platform. Like he's got a grip on what exactly is going wrong. Like I think Trump got elected saying that the jobs were coming back, and I don't think the jobs are coming back.
Well, I mean, unemployment's at 3.7%, right? So like there's not much more jobs you can put into the economy if there's enough people to hire.
But aren't there problems with the unemployment numbers? Because like they don't count people that aren't looking for work or something?
Right.
Yeah, that's true. It's also, labor participation rates, and some people just don't work, like even if there are jobs, they don't want to work.
No, it doesn't seem like people have that overwhelming desire for fairness and destroying the system the way they did with Trump, in 2016. So I don't know how much that's going to play for 2020.
Yeah, every single one of these people seem like establishment candidates to me. Like the guy bragging about how he'd been in the Congress for 17 years. I was like, why are you going there, buddy? That's not necessarily a good thing.
Definitely most of them, almost all of them, are trying to portray themselves as more progressive than the other one, which historically wasn't necessarily the case, even in a Democratic primary. Like they're going like way far out there, like, talking about eliminating private health insurance and stuff. I think you'll see more of that in the second debate.
Well, didn't only 3 of them want to eliminate private health insurance?
I think 2.
2?
But I think you would see more of that in the second debate.
Yeah, maybe. Because it seemed like Bill de Blasio was trying to out-progressive everybody.
Well, yeah, he did that when he was running for, mayor of New York, and that's how he won. But then people saw his record as, mayor of New York, and it didn't live up at all to what he was saying in the debates.
Right, but who's going to, who fact checks, in reality? No one cares. They just want the rhetoric.
It's true, but I mean, if he went up enough, like he get challenged on the debate stage, and people will say, you talk a tough game, like if they wanted to take him down, and they'll just start citing everything he's done in New York and all the problems. So
right. If he makes it to like the second or third round, yeah, they'll cream him on his record.
Yeah.
Tulsi was disappointing.
I kind of expected that, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of like a one-trick pony, and she's not much of a debater. And I already knew they weren't going to give her a ton of time. I mean, started picking up actually towards the end. During the debate, when I said she was getting the least amount of time out of everyone, I was checking. If you check your DMs, Sitch, I sent you this link to the LinkedIn post where it shows the speaking times for all the candidates. And she was at the bottom, but now she's at like the fourth to last. Actually, she's like tied for third to last.
Booker's at the top.
Yeah, Booker got the most.
So Booker got the biggest bump?
I mean, he's probably going to get, I would say he'd probably get the most disproportionate bump, just because he just talked the most.
He talked the most, and he was able to talk, he was able to not
fuck up.
Shoot himself in the foot like some of the other candidates did with what he was saying. Yeah. Like he didn't say anything that I think would turn off, the base at all.
Yeah, he wasn't like Beto.
Something that I was like completely, my brain just fell out of my head. I don't remember what it was though.
The healthcare thing, every single nation that has some kind of universal healthcare also has a private insurance system as well. Like the universal health care is basically for people who can't afford health care, and then everyone with money has.
I don't think that's
They do.
I think it's
yeah.
the vast majority of people in like a country like the UK or Norway or something. The vast majority of them, I believe, are on the public system. It's not just for people who can't afford it.
Well, no, I agree that the vast majority of people are on the public system, but they also have there are people who have money have extra coverage.
They have access to a private system.
Yeah, and it's usually for supplemental stuff. So, for example, these countries don't cover like dental, and that's why Europeans usually have like really shitty teeth. So, I mean, at least to some degree, I've noticed that.
No, it's
because they come to America like, wow, America has such great teeth.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine here
don't
that
have
was
dental insurance either. So,
but I had a friend of mine that was actually from England who had terrible teeth. And he talked about how the incentive structure in the UK didn't incentivize anyone to become dentists because dentists like make shit money and it's like a shit job. So like,
okay.
Yeah, so that's why it's like nobody gets dental because there just aren't qualified dentists. Like the people doing dental it's so expensive. It's only like a rich person thing. Yeah.
I liked what Tim Ryan was saying, but he's just, he has Asperger's. He he can't win.
He has a face for radio.
he has a body for radio. He has like the charisma of like a fish, as you said on SpongeBob.
If he ran in the 1960s when there were no televised debates, it was like that whole thing with Nixon and JFK, I think, where they were saying the people who listened on radio thought Nixon better and the people who watched on television thought Kennedy did better.
Because Nixon was sweating like profusely.
Yeah, and he's not aesthetic in the face. He looks bad.
No, he's not.
And angry.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think most of the people are going to drop out after this. Like Klobuchar is like, I don't know, she's so boring. My God,
it's like the most boring. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what their funds are like right now, depending on how much they've already spent, how much they have in the tank. Usually campaigns will end because they just don't have the money to continue and they could just kind of have to drop out. So I don't know how much money these people have.
Well, that's what I'm, after this, who's going to look at a lot of these candidates, Klobuchar, Tulsi Gabbard, unfortunately, Delaney, who's going to look at them and say like, oh, I'm going to keep donating to this, after that performance.
Who donated to them to begin with?
Well, that's I don't know who's donating to them in the first place. Here's interesting. According to the Washington Post thing you sent me, it said de Blasio was the second least minutes spoken out of anyone, 5.6 minutes. It didn't feel that way though, did it?
De Blasio, he kept
but I think a lot
interrupting.
of it was like those interruptions. He would go in and he would make the most out of that time.
Yeah, they're probably talking about the interruptions right now.
Right, but see, that's what.
No, I think they're replaying the debate.
Oh, is that?
No, they're
you're right.
replaying the interruptions.
That's what they're
that's
doing?
what you got to do though.
Yeah.
When there's 10 people, you gotta just interrupt and force your way in there. Because if he was interrupting and he still was the second least spoken guy, I mean, how would that have been if he hadn't interrupted?
Male privilege right there. You didn't see the girls interrupting.
God. That's going to be a Vox article tomorrow.
It's totally going to be a Vox article.
The male privilege of male candidates, of white male candidates interrupting.
White male privileges interrupting. Yeah, no, it's going to be there.
Oh my God.
Tulsi
that's the Vox article, guys.
Tulsi got victimized. I mean, it was just it was a metaphorical taking advantage of without her consent.
It was toxic masculinity on display.
Oh, on display at its finest. Are you kidding me? I think Tulsi gets a 20-point bump out of this.
No, she's a veteran. Okay, she's got to take charge. Got to get in there and kick someone in the face and say, "It's my fucking time to speak. Let me be charismatic. Tell you why."
She went after the autistic guy, so I guess maybe it doesn't play well.
No, telling you.
It's a bit ableist.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say earlier, it's funny when they had the technical problems. Trump said that MSNBC should be ashamed of themselves for having such a horror. horrible technical breakdown, truly unprofessional and only worthy of a fake news organization.
Yeah. Called them fake news right out. I love that they brought Maddow out to revive the Russian conspiracy, and to interrogate all the candidates about it. I wonder if they're going to do that again tomorrow night.
You're right. I'm like, that was fucking weird. That
makes
that
them look so bad.
Type like I didn't expect that at all. I thought she was gonna be normal, but nope, she went straight for the Russia stuff. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, that's her thing.
I know. Is it? I don't know. I've stopped watching her. I haven't watched her in like a year.
Oh, you didn't know about that? Like, she's
I know that that's like
crazy
the meme
about the Russia stuff.
Right. I know that's a meme, but I haven't watched her in like a week. I mean a year. So I haven't seen what she's been talking about this week.
Dude, you know what she said about Trump and North Korea? She said the reason he's dealing with North Korea is like she got a map and she zoomed in. She's like, I bet you didn't know this. There's a small part of North Korea that actually has a border with Russia. And like that was her connection.
No way.
Oh my God.
Swear to God.
First of all, I didn't even know that, but that's
was it a satellite feed? Did they have Kim Jong-un out there in a lawn chair? Like
that's fucking madness. Andrew Yang says on Twitter, looks like I can forget about reading that briefing book on Yemen.
Oh, since nobody brought it up?
Nobody brought it up. He doesn't care.
Yeah. It's a free-for-all. The free-for-all was actually interesting, though.
Who was? I couldn't hear what he said.
The free-for-all was actually interesting. The fact that they were like, okay, I'm just going to steal some time here. And then another guy's like, whoa, we're stealing time? Let me steal some time.
Let me go through some super chats. The Pit Zajat for $2 says, I am Mexican-American and Beto's Spanish is terrible.
Yes.
Yes, I believe it. Matthew Ivy for $2 says 5 minutes in and I'm already voting Republican. Oh no, the exact opposite of what they wanted. Writer John Buck for $2 says, don't want to answer the question. No habla inglés.
Yeah, I laughed my ass off when I saw that one.
I wish someone would have done that. Zofrets for $20 Donkey Kong dollars says, your suits are better than their suits. That's very true. That's very true. They had very boring outfits. Except for Tulsi. She had the best outfit. And she squandered her opportunity.
She's got the rogue thing going too, doesn't she? I wonder if she dyes that.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering about that too. She has that like one little white streak in her hair. Yeah. Matthew Ivy for another $2 says, not a single question answered. This is terrible. Yep. Daniel Irish for $10 says, Warren is collecting scalps. Oh, Daniel. How insensitive. How insensitive.
Yeah.
McCarthy's list for 125 PHP says, Yang's I'm going to buy votes was surpassed by Warren's I'm going to import votes.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing. The immigration stuff. Oh.
Yeah, does the average person care this much?
Yeah,
about
that's what I was
immigration?
that's what I was gonna look up. I was gonna look up what people care about.
It feels to me like such a red herring of an issue.
Yes, exactly. What issues do people care about?
Especially like I understand the Republicans care about it, but I mean, do Democrats really? Would they care? You just say, yeah, I'm against Trump on immigration. Like that's all you have to say. They don't care about like all this other shit. Shouldn't be talking about importing people in the country. Like that's true. Warren said we need more immigrants for this economy. Like it doesn't feel like that's an argument that's going to appeal to most people because they're going to think, well, what are they taking my job? Writer John Buck for $2 says $2 just for Delaney's adorable smile.
I guess they do care about immigration. It's healthcare, 80%. Extremely to very important. The economy 78%, immigration 78%. Way women are treated in U.S. society 74%.
What are you looking at?
Gallup. Gallup.
I sent you the link to that Maddow thing.
Okay.
Oh, this is November 2018, so that's not too long ago.
So wait, this
gun policy, taxes, foreign affairs.
Right, but these aren't ordered though, right? From most cared about, the least cared about.
Climate change is down to 53%. When they talk about climate change, I always think, oh, that's their Armageddon pitch.
Wait, you're saying people care more about how women are treated in America than climate change?
Yeah, by about 20 points.
Oh my God, the country is doomed. What are we gonna do?
That's these left-wing rags just stoking people's anger.
Oh.
Are you kidding? Women make 78 cents on the dollar, Sitch. Do you know how infuriating that is? To go to work every day and to know the dude, like, spilling ketchup on his shirt makes 22. Never Adam and math.
Working the same hours at the same exact job at the same seniority.
Not only that, he's spending an hour in the bathroom at lunch.
Who was it that said we need the equal pay amendment?
Castro, I believe.
Castro. Oh, see, it's funny.
Equal rights amendment.
Yes. You have to give Tulsi credit though. She punted on the one question we wanted her to punt on. It's just the wage gap.
Oh yeah.
She's like, I'm fuck that. Yeah. I'm not going into that.
Honestly, I think an equal rights amendment would benefit men more than it would women.
I was
like
wondering,
when you think about it, you look at like nightclubs, for example, where they charge men like $150 to get in versus women go in for free.
Well, what's the exact wording on the Equal Rights Amendment?
You basically can't discriminate on the basis of like sex or gender, I think would be like the language. Right now, it only kind of applies to, via the 14th Amendment, it's mostly like race and stuff like that for the Equal Protection Clause. It doesn't necessarily apply to sex and gender as much. I think there was a Supreme Court case about it where it sort of protected it under rational basis, but not like strict scrutiny or intermediate scrutiny. So it doesn't really protect gender or sex exactly.
Well, because I forget, there's like, we only need 2 more states, I think, to ratify it, to have an Equal Rights Amendment.
I think it's 1.
Oh, even, wow, so it's even less. That would be fucking hilarious if it is ratified and it just helps men. That would be the best troll of all time. Dope. Yes, that'd be confirmation we're living in the simulation.
City cases,
Right.
The least important issue, according to this Gallup poll, is investigation into the Russia involvement in the 2016 United States election.
Interesting.
Exactly. No, it's not interesting at all. And most Americans give 0 shits about that. It doesn't affect their life, and they're sick of it.
It's 12 points below climate change. Yeah, it's only the Trump haters.
Well, is Rachel's ratings like terrible now, or I'm assuming she's still the highest rated person over there.
But they're all of MSNBC's.
Yeah, but who's she really competing against? I mean, like what, Chris Hayes?
That's fair point. Fair point.
Like, can you even name like fucking what's his name? The guy who's like MSNBC, Chris Matthews.
Lean forward. John Bob 008 for $2 says we're 22 trillion in debt. Please, no free stuff. No, more free stuff. Okay. We're going to be free of debt if we just give more free stuff away. What are you talking about?
Not until the interest on the debt takes over our entire budget.
Right. The opinionated one is saying people are getting copyright strikes for this. So
really?
Yeah. Well, I think Shu got a copyright strike, but if you're, commenting like we are, it shouldn't be a problem. And, you could always appeal the decision. So.
Right. Well, it's my second.
It's fair use.
So I don't care so much, but I don't know why they would. I mean, they're fucking putting it on YouTube for free. It's not like anyone's gonna watch this instead of if they don't care about us, they're not gonna watch.
We are
this,
taking the commercials out.
Their advertisements are playing over the video.
Should we stop the video? So.
Well, we don't have sound, so it's not. But we can. Go ahead. Here, let's go. Let's go over to Shu and see how she feels about her copyright strike.
Oh my god.
Well, she wouldn't be able to stream.
I said I would.
Done. She's not allowed to stream for like 90 days.
Yeah, so I guess we haven't got the strike yet, because would we immediately just be cut off the stream?
No, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you would. Once you get a strike, like your stream gets cut off, kind of like it happened to Crowder. It's just you go off.
I've gotten 4 or 5 copyright strikes, but I was never streaming on my channel. No, not at the same time, but over time I've gotten copyright strikes. Yeah.
Writer John Buck for another $5 says Amy's last name and face reminds me of a stroke.
A stroke survivor?
Yeah, that's so accurate. Jesus.
She does have
That's
some
very
drooping on one side of her face.
She does. She does. Her name doesn't help either. Taylor Ramirez for $2 says the virtue signal is strong with Castro. Yeah, he was full fucking pander that debate.
He looks really skinny. He looks like a really skinny, scrawny guy. Yeah, that's what I thought of him. He had a really big head.
His face looked a little fat to me. It didn't seem skinny.
Oh, really? He had kind of like a pencil neck.
He didn't look skinny to me. He just looked tiny next to
tiny, but
to
like
Booker
skinny
and,
fat.
and Asperger's guy. He was just so tiny. He's like a tiny little man. He's the same. I'm looking at a picture. I think he's like the same height as Elizabeth Warren.
Them Hispanic genetics.
That's you said it.
I think Andrew Yang should take the booster seat. What do you think?
Yeah, he said. Andrew Yang actually tweeted out. He said, "Fun."
He said,
fact,
"I don't speak Spanish" or something, or my Spanish is terrible.
Oh, did he say that?
He did.
Oh, you're right. He said my Spanish is terrible. That's hilarious. No, he said that there's a little boosters things that people can stand on.
Yeah, if they feel short, which I'm in favor of. I mean, although they probably will get a shot of it and everyone will be like, "Wow, look at that."
Yeah, once the debate's over and you're shaking people's hands, it's like, oh. It's all about the optics.
Right. Taylor Ramirez for oh no, we got that one. A very dead horse for $1.99 says press 1 for English. Look. We live in a multicultural society, very dead horse, okay? You gotta be accepting, okay? You just gotta accept it. Just gotta accept it.
I think it's cultural
Michael Avenatti
appropriation.
says he's going to be in Miami tomorrow.
Doing what?
For the next debate, probably just to be there.
He's gonna be in the crowd shouting, "Ask me a question. I'm running for president."
I thought people
wanted
were
him to run
shouting
so bad.
When they had the technical difficulties, I thought people were shouting.
Oh,
I thought it was like a disruption.
No, I don't think so. I think it was the people. I think it was what they said. The people that left their mics on or something, or their producers, because it sounded like producer talk. Writer John Buck for $5 says, "Jim, Writer John Buck giving us so much money today. I think they might be accidentally airing the Mexican presidential debate." Oof, big oof.
Yeah, people don't like that Spanish.
It's as I said. It's gonna rub people the wrong way. Like they should have focus grouped that better. Alex Karras for $10 says, "Effing Think Club should be monetized. I liked Adam's debate earlier."
Thank you.
There you go.
I agree.
David West, thank you for the 99 cents. Contrast for 5 Aussie bucks says, "Come on down, folks. We're just giving away these oppression points. Bonus emotional immigration narratives. No mention of lowering the voting age, though. For shame."
Yeah,
No
no
one's on
one's
your
into
side,
that.
Adam.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't admit it. I wouldn't if I was running. I wouldn't.
Oh, you wouldn't admit it?
No, because people they don't like it. It's intuitively incorrect to people.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know Adam's position on this, Nuance?
What's that?
You know that Adam wants to lower the voting age to 12?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, see, that's it. That's the intuitive response to it. Yeah. But
we need to take away voting rights, not expand them.
Oh,
yeah.
what does that
See,
mean? What does that mean?
that's what the authoritarians
That means,
always
just
want to do.
certain requirements to make it so smarter people are voting instead.
Oh
of
yeah,
very
let the
uninformed, dumb
elitist
people.
vote. Yeah, I agree.
Wait, so are you being serious? You want some sort of IQ restriction?
We should
I
just
don't know about
incarcerate.
IQ
We should
restriction
incarcerate the
necessarily,
stupid
but I
people.
think something that, I mean, I just don't want people who don't know anything to vote.
Yeah, that's a very intuitive response.
Interesting. I think you guys should debate on it. Matthew Ivey for $2 says, "This is one long ad on why people will vote for Trump." Yeah, well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I think most of the candidates did not do well. Sean Wallace for $5. says, fleeing violence. Tim Pool cited a study where immigrants said they were coming here because they missed PlayStation and Buffalo Wild Wings. No rules breeds liars. There you go.
Yeah, they don't have functional political institutions. Yeah, obviously that's why they're leaving.
Right. I don't know. I know that I've seen Tim talk about that a lot. He talked about it in his video today. I don't know. I'm skeptical that that's even a nice chunk of people coming to America as for something that vapid.
Yeah, I didn't see the video.
Mac Darendesky for $2 says, press 2 if you think immigrants are cancer. Oh, Mac, how dare you? This is a nation of immigrants, Mac. Disavow. I disavow. Nation of immigrants. My great-great-grandparents came here right before World War I, okay?
He didn't even put the illegal immigrants in there.
I could
he must have been
if I knew the language of my people.
He must have been super triggered by the Spanish.
Who?
I hope Buttigieg speaks Norwegian during the debates tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ryder John Buck for another $2 says, gotta speak Spanish to represent their immigrant base. Yeah, I don't like this Democrat idea of like, we're going to win votes. Like, we're just going to throw away white people. We're just going to win votes, based on minorities. That seems like such a bad strategy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a terrible strategy. Come on.
John Bob 008 for another $5 says, I must have been that diversity hiring. Oof.
Which one?
Alex Carr. All of them.
Oh, no.
Alex Karras for $5 says, somebody please make a voiceover for the map pointing guy during the ads for the love of humor.
Yeah, they wanted
us. Oh,
to
you mean, what's the guy's name? I'm
imitate.
totally blanking.
The mustard pants guy?
Yeah, mustard pants guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's his name, NuanceBro? Don't you know? You know these things. What's the guy's name that looks kind of like Rachel Maddow, but male?
This guy right
here.
Are
you talking about the guy on the Daily Wire? Michael Knowles?
No.
What's your take on Michael Knowles?
Like Rachel Maddow.
We did a video on Michael Knowles. Who are you thinking of?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Chris Hayes?
I put him on the screen.
No, not Chris Hayes.
I put him on the screen. He's mustard pants guy.
Wait, what? Oh, wait, this? Oh, I don't know who this guy is, but Chris Hayes. You're probably thinking of Chris Hayes, honestly, because people compare Chris Hayes to Maddow a lot.
That's true. That is true. But that
Chris Hayes is a big climate change guy.
Just kill me. I can't think of his name.
Chris Hayes is like Mr. Climate Change. I just want to know the
he's
truth
just
on
Mr.
climate
Progressive,
change.
considered progressive, as the most progressive on MSNBC.
Chris Hayes?
Yeah.
Is the most progressive? I just remember him during what was when like the Black Lives Matter stuff all started, he was like trying to find people rioting in the streets when Michael Brown was shot. And I was like, oh, Chris Hayes, what are you doing? Alex Karras for $5 says, somebody, oh no, you already got that one. Ryder John Buck for another $2 says, Trump's tweeting, update the feed. Adam. Taylor Ramirez for $2 says, the poor girl must be bored out of her mind. Assuming you're talking about Tulsi.
Yeah.
Tulsi, you know what? You got to fight. If you're going to be president, you got to fight. You got to be charismatic. You can be the best idea person in the world, but if you're not going to step in there and punch someone in the fucking face. Sean Walsh for $5 says, you need to pause and comment. If we wanted to just watch, we wouldn't be here. I'm sorry, Sean. Maybe we'll do more pausing tomorrow. Daniel Irish.
I'm thinking we pause like crazy tomorrow.
Like a 6-hour stream.
Yeah, lots of dunking.
We'll see. Yeah, we can compare. We'll see what people like more. That was Scott. Right?
You keep cutting out a little bit.
So. Yeah, you cut out.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm cutting out a lot.
Fix your internet, man.
I don't know what to tell.
Do you live in Mexico? What kind of internet? What kind of internet you got going over there?
I have a shoestring attached to the phone company. Isn't that what you have?
That's funny.
Daniel,
Are you on your wireless? Why are they
$5 agrees that you should be more pausing and commenting.
Wire that bitch up, man. Are you on wireless?
No, I'm not. And it's not
Okay,
the way
you are
that my
wired.
router's set up. It's like not even possible to be wired onto the router.
Really?
But
you
we haven't
so you
usually had
are
this problem.
you are wireless.
Yeah, I'm wireless.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
wireless.
That's why you're cutting out right and left.
Yeah, but we don't usually have this problem, do we?
Yeah, it's occasional. I mean,
occasional.
Well, it could be never if you wired that bitch up.
People are watching, maybe. Well, no, but like where my box is, it's like up high on like the top.
Where
of
your
the,
box is? Come
Turn
on,
off
let's
the
not get
porn
personal
downloads.
here.
That's right. I have too much porn downloading. I'm sorry. That's the problem. That's the problem. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot to turn
Especially the child porn.
I forgot to turn off my my BitTorrent LimeWire of porn. Yes, old school. Still use LimeWire.
Kazaa and Morpheus.
Kazaa, there you go. Kazaa, that's where Kazaa Light. That's where it's fucking at. Jeez. Writer John Buck
the
for
last
$2.
the last super chat you cut out on. So
Daniel Irish for $5 agreed that we should do more pausing and commenting. Writer John Buck for another $2 says Yang tweeted, "My Spanish is terrible." See,
Yeah.
Yang is where it's at, my friends.
that's why I put it up.
You think he would have said that during like would he have the balls to say that?
Yeah, he would have said, "Hey, we're in America, guys. Why are you two guys talking in Spanish?"
No, he wouldn't have said that. But he would have said, "Well, I'm sorry, but my Spanish is terrible, so I'll speak in English." He was just like something, you know.
Oh
smug.
yeah. So he pointed it out that like I'm not one of them, but yeah, no, he's good that way. He'd totally do
Right.
that.
A Very Dead Horse for $4.99 says Cory Book, is he option 1, Tom Morello's uncool brother, or 2, wall-eyed Lex Luthor? So who's Tom Morello? I don't know who that is.
Tom Morello, he's part of that band. Is it Rage Against the Machine? Is that what
That's
it
what
is?
it says. Rage Against the Machine and then Audio Slave. He does look.
He's
a
super
lot-
like Antifa type, like communist, like as far as his politics.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, he has a red hat on. It says "Make America Rage Again." So, I don't think Cory Booker's evil. I think he's just a politician. Which, I mean, maybe that does make you evil, but like the normal amount of politician evil. Writer John Buck for another $2 says swap out the Trump feed for a Yang feed. Yang was
did.
definitely more. Oh, okay, good. Yang was definitely more prolific with his tweeting than Trump was.
Yeah. Trump was like, these people are so, I mean, I might break them if I actually tweet it. But then after a while, he got bored. He's like, I'll just tweet the Trump dictator meme.
That was perfect when they were
Just to rile
talking
him
about
up.
like, yeah, that was perfect when they were talking about like, oh, you're gonna go after Trump if you win. He just, oh, beautiful persuasion. As much as I don't
Yes.
like Trump, I have to give him credit for that. Taylor Ramirez for $2 says, ask about cow farts. Why were there no questions about cow farts?
Yeah, for the climate change questions. What would you do about cow farts, Beto? How would you handle the huge cow fart problem that we have going on here in the United States?
He would correct them and he would say it's actually the farts, but the burps we have to worry about.
Oh, okay.
It's a common misconception.
Oh my God. I wish.
Would he do it in
I wish.
Spanish? Would he answer in Spanish? I don't even know how to say cow in Spanish.
He said, look, I talked to a cow that I knew personally in Texas, and he told me.
Well, in Norwegian, you would say kua.
One of the most
This cow
difficult
told me.
questions I had to answer was from a cow that was facing slaughter later that day. I told him he had to die for climate change.
I feel like Beto is like the Democrat version of Jeb. He's just like this kind of like meme loser kind
Oh
of guy.
man, people love him. It's weird.
So during
love
the
who?
debate, people love Beto, which we don't.
No, they
I don't.
don't.
fucking understand.
What are you talking about?
People love him.
No, they don't.
Oh yes, they do.
They used to. They used to when he was running against Ted Cruz. Now he's
Right.
they talk shit about him all the time. Like look at the coverage from TYT when he was running against Ted Cruz. versus now.
No, but he still has like this base that I don't understand where it
What
comes
do you mean he's
from.
polling at like nothing?
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're like national polling. I think what is he like 4%, maybe 6 on like a good day.
Yeah, but still, that's more than most of the other people, except for the top tier candidates.
I mean,
isn't it?
most of it's a 20-person field. Of course, it's
Right.
Anyone's polling more than most of the other people.
Right. So yeah. So, but I don't get it. I think he has a. I think he appeals to people that register primarily information on an audio level because he has like that good like political cadence where he kind of goes up and down, but everything else about him is terrible. His visual impression, his actual words. So I don't know.
I think he gets a lot of the vote.
A lot of the who vote?
Because like for a politician, he's not a bad looking dude.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Basically.
Brighter John Buck for another $2 says, out of this lineup, I most dislike Klobuchar. I feel like you're not alone there. Well, who did you dislike the most in this debate?
I find it hard to dislike Klobuchar, mostly because she's just like so bland. It's more like indifference. Right. It's like I just don't care. Like you don't even register. Like if she walked into the room and walked out, I wouldn't even know she was there.
I think Jay Inslee is the worst. I would say he's like he has the least substance of all of them. Like everything he says sounds like a cliche.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So we have.
I
got the polls up. Looks like Biden.
What do they say?
Biden 32, Sanders 16, Warren 12, Harris 7, Buttigieg 6. So, and the rest just fall off. Booker's 2, Yang is 1.3, and everyone else is not even 1%.
So Beto's not even 1. He's just fucking gone. Get out.
Yang is in the game. 1.3.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yang.
I can't believe Beto is at 3%. Nobody knows Yang at all.
Yeah, he's at 3%. He's at 3.3.
Okay.
Yeah,
so he's right behind Buttigieg. Buttigieg is 6.6.
Well,
this is national, and then if you go to New Hampshire and Iowa, which is like kind of what really matters in the beginning, anyway.
Yeah, where's Iowa?
Kind of change.
Where's that at? Oh.
When did Trump start doing well in the polling? Was it after the first debate?
So Buttigieg is at 12 in Iowa.
Interesting.
I
don't get his appeal either.
Yeah, he looks like he's 12 years old.
Have you seen him talk? He fucking never fucks up almost ever. Almost every answer he gives is like perfection.
But he never says anything. That's why it's perfection.
Does. What are you talking about?
No, he says nothing but platitudes. I don't know what you're talking about.
Did you watch his CNN town hall? The one that kind of like set him off?
Yes.
Really?
You didn't think that was impressive? Like just from someone who watches politics, I was like, he didn't fuck up once.
No, I thought he was transparent. He just seemed like a more competent version of Beto.
Sounds like we have a Buttigieg fan here.
I'm not a Buttigieg fan. I think he's obviously like super smart, speaks multiple languages, all that stuff like that got him a lot of press, obviously.
Why don't you just marry him?
Yeah, he looks
I think him and Yang are probably the smartest people running, just like pure IQ.
Sure, he could be smart. I'm not denying any of that.
I think he went to Harvard, right?
I don't know.
He looks 12.
He does look 12.
He doesn't look old enough to be president. He doesn't look old enough to vote for president.
Well, Trump said he looked like that guy from the what comic? What Mad TV or something? Or Mad
Alfred E. Newman.
Yeah, from what was the magazine?
Alfred E. Newman.
Mad Magazine. Didn't you have a childhood? Jeez.
I did. I remember reading it.
Mad Magazine and Cracked. Right John Buck for no $2 says Tulsi was rocking the Julia Louise Dreyfus look. She did look kind of like her from Veep. That is true.
Oh yeah.
Beggar Hero for $2 says all these candidates are putting me down, man. Wink. I think Yang said while they were having technical difficulties, he said Russia's behind it or something. He made a Russia joke.
Yeah, he did. He was.
Dude, he likes to troll, man. Did you see his most recent like marketing gimmick to like promote himself?
Yes, I did.
He's gonna give $1,000 to someone.
Yeah, it's
To
going
me.
crazy. It's genius.
He's gonna give $1,000 to me. It's me. Don't retweet that. Don't retweet the tweet.
He's a very smart guy. Where am I? Hobo Frodo for $2 says Julián Castro trying too hard to be Obama.
Obama, if he was like 4 foot tall. I mean, come on, let's be honest here. The guy.
Did you get?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Did you get an Obama vibe? Because I didn't really get an Obama vibe.
I didn't get that much. I could see that. I can see what they're saying, but like it seems like he was trying to kind of go for that with like his sickness and stuff.
His
about
mannerisms.
that. Like especially when he was talking about the whole. It seemed like he was really going hard for the black vote when he started talking about some of the criminal justice reform type
Yeah,
stuff.
he brought up when he brought up the wage gap. He was like immediately went to and black women are the most affected by the wage gap.
Oh yeah, he did the most pandering. He definitely wins most pandering.
Most pandering award goes to Julián. Well, I don't know. I think
Between
I would
him
agree
and
with
Booker,
you.
I'd probably say.
I would agree with you, except that Beto spoke in Spanish for so long that it kind of like it's a toss up. Mitch Connor, it's Mitch Connor for $10 says, how do we go about Afghanistan? Is there a proper exit strategy? Wouldn't we be leaving it open for more anarchy, terrorism, and for nations like China or Russia to expand? That's a good question that nobody answered. How do we do it? How do we do it?
Well, as Ron Paul would say, we marched right in, we can march right out.
But then we're just going to let Russia and China take over.
I don't care. Like, why do I care if Russia or China are in Afghanistan? Like, who cares?
Because China's our biggest geopolitical opponent. Didn't you hear what they said?
If they then Afghanistan can be their problem and they can get shot by the Taliban.
That's a good point.
And it'll, hurt their economy as well. Like they'll have to sink money into doing that.
Right.
So
there you go. See, what are you gonna say, Adam?
I can't find how tall Julio Castro is.
You're searching.
Wait a minute. We got to answer this question.
This is
of prime
incredible.
importance.
Yeah.
Julio Castro height. Come on. How's this not like straight up on like normal?
I know. They're trying to hide it. I swear to God, he's like 4'9". He's 4'9". They don't want to post it.
You're right.
It must be that Google bot thing happening again.
Totally. That's exactly what they're doing.
Let's wait. Oh shit! I typed in Elizabeth Warren height and it came up immediately.
Yeah, see, they're hiding it.
Yeah,
they
but
are.
see, it's not negative for her because she's a woman.
Oh my God! And under it says people search for it and has Kamala Harris's height, Bernie Sanders' height, Cory Booker's height.
Yeah. And they're also more prominent. Like, to be fair, Julián Castro is not very famous.
That's true. It doesn't have Tulsi
His
Gabbard's
name
height.
recognition's like non-existent.
His height recognition is even more non-existent.
There's probably gonna be people like doing those things where they compare the people on stage and like after in the debates and they'll like draw graphs, be like, well, we know Elizabeth Warren is like 5'6", and then he's standing next to her, judging by the relative this and that, like he's probably this.
I mean, it's the most important factor, really.
Definitely.
I think it's funny how they had Elizabeth Warren in the middle, which just accentuated how tiny a person she is.
Well, it also made her seem like more important as well. I think they were pretty favorable to Elizabeth Warren.
I felt
it was weird.
I felt like the imagery was more like this person is very fragile and we need to protect her. She's the child.
Really? I didn't get that at all.
I could see either way. I mean, it's weird because in the beginning she was dominating the conversation, but then in the second half, like they didn't ask her anything.
Yeah.
As you said, I forgot she was even there. Alex, I just lost it. Alex Karras for $10 says, this super chat is for Nuance. Do it again. There you go. You have a fan.
Do what again?
I don't know. Be on the stream with us, maybe. Man Faces World for $2 says, broke Beto speaks Spanish, woke Warren speaks Cherokee.
That would have been great. It would be great if she opened up apologizing for her DNA test.
Oh, my God. See, I want to see like a Virgin Chad drawing, but with like Beto is the Virgin and Warren's the Chad.
Oh my God.
She has like a tomahawk.
She's like a little feather on her head. Ryder John Buck for $2 says, at least Tulsi got the big dunk on Ryan. That's true. She did get the big dunk on Ryan.
That's the autistic guy.
It was a superficial dunk, though.
It was a superficial dunk on a guy who. Here's the thing: it's probably not worthwhile to get a dunk on someone who doesn't have a chance either. So I'm not sure how much that helps.
It made no difference. You want to attack the person at the top and bring them down so that your light can shine more bright.
Right. Ticks for the presidential debate. You gotta, or prison politics. You go up to the biggest guy in the yard and punch him in the face. So I'm saying Tulsi Gabbard should have punched Elizabeth Warren in the face.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm looking for in the second debate. Is I'm hoping everyone goes after Joe Biden and just tries to tear him down, because like he's clearly the front runner. They have to do that if they want to stand a chance. That's what debates are for, is to take down the leader so you can go up. That's what they're gonna do. Yeah.
I think MSNBC is going to try to take him down too. I think they're going to ask him all sorts of tough questions about his quote unquote racism in the past and all that stuff.
Well, someone's got to bring up the busing, because he was like for segregated busing.
Right. Silver Strings for $2 says, greetings from Camp Llewellyn. Keep it up, my dude. Thank you very much, Silver. Super Deagle for $4.99 said, you boys enjoyed the paid clapping. Better than Bethesda at E3 for sure. Political money really gets the hands a moving. You know, I think it was Jimmy Dore was saying that it costs something like $4,000 to get a seat at this event. And yeah, and here's what's so insulting about this. Okay, here's what's crazy about this. You could pay $250 not to get a seat, be able to access the pre-show area where they have like food and mingling and stuff.
So I typed debate Spanish, and they're already writing articles on the Spanish stuff. Cory Booker's face when Beto O'Rourke speaks Spanish at debate goes viral.
Wait, I gotta look. Well, what is
first bilingual presidential debate as 3 candidates and a moderator speak Spanish. Beto O'Rourke started speaking Spanish like 3 minutes into the Democratic debate. I love how BuzzFeed puts a like in the headline. Beto O'Rourke started speaking Spanish like 3 minutes into the debate. That's literally the headline.
Oh my God. Let's look at this.
Go BuzzFeed News. Oh my God, he's like speaking Spanish like 3 minutes into the debate. Holy cow.
Memes in Spanish.
I noticed Cory Booker's face. He's like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, it's not a crazy face, honestly.
He spoke Spanish before me. I was gonna pander. I was gonna pander first.
That's probably what he's thinking.
And he won't shut
He's
up.
like, I practiced for hours last
New
night.
Jersey Senator Cory Booker.
Yeah, and he did go into Spanish for a little bit, didn't he?
Oh God, it was awful. Yeah, everyone was like, "What's going on? Am I on the wrong channel?" Here, let me.
3 out of the 10, I'm pretty sure, spoke Spanish. Cory Booker, Beto, and Julián Castro.
Right.
I mean, Elizabeth Warren is giving him the evil eye too. Oh my God. Yeah.
The Tomahawk eyes.
I'm not sure if that's racist or not. I'm
Tomahawk eyes.
I'm pointing it out. But if I am partial to the laser eyes, okay. I like to keep it modern, but she's throwing some daggers that way.
Yeah.
Honestly, if someone did an eye roll while he did that, I think it probably would have ended Beto's campaign.
Oh, yeah.
would have been. They're too scared though. They'd be way too scared to do that.
Yeah, it's risky because then people could say, "Oh, you're disrespecting because he's trying to reach out to a certain segment of the American population. Like you think that's stupid or something." But it's
Castro should have done it. That would have been perfect.
Yeah, that would be
Castro's trying to avoid though looking too Latino.
Yeah,
like they would label him like the Manchurian Candidate if he came out and started speaking Spanish.
No, less so that, but more like they'd be like, "Oh, he's trying to like play up his race,
right,
to get elected, sort of thing."
Right.
It's obvious pandering though, but we expect pandering from Beto. It's like expected. It's just it's a thing. It's gonna happen,
His
right?
personality is pandering.
Exactly. The Pits of Jack for $5 says, speaking Spanish in debates is not something new. Greg Lopez, a Republican, did it in the Colorado governor debate. The difference is that he really is Latino.
And that nobody knows who he is.
That's true. I don't know who this guy is. Didn't someone do it in the debate we watched, Adam, earlier? It seems vaguely familiar.
I'm not sure.
I don't remember. But anyway, McCarthy's list.
Ted Cruz, when they were like challenging each other during the Republican debates, it was like between Rubio and Ted Cruz, and then Ted Cruz like breaking out some Spanish just to be like, "I can speak Spanish, you motherfucker."
Maybe that's what I'm.
At least Trump or at least Bush had the Texas accent with his Spanish.
That's right. Yeah, Beto doesn't have that nice Texas drawl. What's he even doing?
Yeah.
McCarthy's list for 125 PHP says there are about 58 million immigrants in the USA, about 1/5 the population. So yes, very important.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
What's important?
What percentage of the Latino? Because didn't Trump beat Hillary in the Latino? I think Trump actually beat Hillary in the Latino vote, and maybe that's why they're speaking so much Spanish.
No, he didn't beat her. But he got more than Obama did. Than the people running against Obama did.
Oh, okay.
He meant what was very important was the immigration question in total at all.
Oh.
Which, yeah, no, I think Republicans care. I didn't think Democrats care that much. But Adam showed me that apparently they do. The Wooster for $9.99 says, I knew that immigration was going to be an issue, but I did not expect all the candidates and moderators to spontaneously burst into traditional Mexican song and dance. My ancestors would be proud.
Interesting.
There you go. A Very Dead Horse for $1.99 says, raise the voting age, change my mind, debate me. That'll have to be in our next call and stream. You and Adam can debate.
I think my next debate is on the age. I think it is.
Oh, with who?
Concept Hut. I believe he's the guy that called into the call-in show.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But I'm in the affirmative position. I got my argument worked out, and I guarantee we're never going to get through the Steel Man portion of the debate because nobody actually. You want to challenge that?
I believe Concept Hut will go through the Steel Man. I have faith in Concept Hut.
We'll see.
Michael Powell for $2 says DNC looks like complete garbage. Can they win? Not a strong showing tonight. Not a strong showing.
They're not sending their best.
They're not.
No.
That's the meme. That's the perfect meme. You should put that on your channel. You put a bunch of clips of like the nonsense from this and then just end it with Trump saying they're not sending their best. There's your next video. Dirty Dance for $2 says Yang has to flex on everyone tomorrow with Chinese.
Oh man, that would be awesome.
That would send all the wrong signals. 100%.
No, he should do Spanish, but what he should say is, sorry guys, my Spanish isn't so good, but I decided I'm not going to pander to you, but I just wanted to say this, or like something to like kind of troll them. Like,
right.
He needs to troll them somehow and just like wipe them out.
Well, I don't think he's going to bring it up unless someone in his debate actually starts talking Spanish.
Do you think anyone's going to do that though?
I don't know exactly who's going.
I mean, it's hard to say, but like after people already did it first debate and the way it comes off, like it's hard to think that people would still try to do that in the second debate. But I don't know, man. They might go for it.
Well, it depends. If they get a lot of these nice BuzzFeed pieces praising Beto for talking in Spanish, you better believe they will.
The fourth headline, I just typed Democratic debate, and the fourth headline is Trump weighs in on first Democratic debate.
That's hilarious.
That's not good.
I
It's
do
so
think the
boring that
Spanish
they
is
have
gonna
to go to
get
Trump.
I do think that the speaking Spanish is probably going to be the most specific played thing for this entire debate.
Oh,
that
yeah.
people are going to talk about.
Well, that's the most memorable for sure.
Right.
It angered so many people. Are you kidding me? Angry is what goes viral.
There you go. Yeah, that's exactly it. So maybe Beto actually will benefit from this. We'll see. James Beach for $5 says, speaking Spanish during an illegal immigration question is kind of racist, right? What about those who speak, I don't know what this word is, Kiswahili? Oh, Swahili. That is racist.
Yeah,
I'm
they would have
offended,
to come
James.
over from Africa, so.
That's right. Writer John Buck giving us so much money for another $5 says, go ahead and pause a lot tomorrow. None of us are going to be live tweeting. There you go. And writer John Buck for another
live.
Writer John Buck for another $2 says, give me all my money today since I'm busy tomorrow. Oh, okay. So you want us to pause tomorrow. You're not going to be watching it. Fair enough. Daniel Irish for $5 says, Sitch doesn't like Trump. Sitch doesn't like winners. He doesn't want America to win. Sad. That's right.
Sad.
I don't like Trump. I don't believe I've ever made that private in any of these streams. But no, I'm not a big Trump fan. Though I am very happy that he brought up the Google Veritas situation, because that way it will actually get talked about. The media was completely fine ignoring it until Trump brought it up. So I do give him a lot of credit for that.
This is a weird headline from Vox. Trump is making sure more YouTubers see him than see the Democratic debate.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
More YouTubers see him?
Wait, what? Read it again?
Trump is making
Does he have
sure
like a live stream going on or something?
Trump is making sure more YouTubers see him than see the Democratic debate. It's debate day, and Trump wants to keep the attention on his own campaign. But somehow YouTube is involved. Like, shut down
Is he
YouTube.
streaming?
I don't know. What the fuck is this? Yeah,
I know
this
he
is-
tweeted something out about like adjourn debates. Be sure to check into like Trump War Room and this and that. But I thought those were Twitter accounts where they're going to be like fact checking. But it's possible. I don't know.
More
They're just
Vox
obsessed.
trying to destroy YouTube.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm like, this headline was. They thought of this beforehand. They were like, we gotta take some digs at YouTube.
Apparently,
Author Carlos Maza.
Now apparently they
It's
bought
Emily Stewart.
a bunch of the Trump campaign bought a bunch of ads on YouTube. That's what they're complaining about.
Oh, okay.
Oh my.
That's all it is.
Trump campaign shells out on YouTube. I can't believe.
Are you guys going to Politicon?
Hell no. Oh, I don't even know what that is. Maybe.
It's in Tennessee.
Nah, hell no.
Nashville. I've never
A lot of
been.
people have asked me to, so I don't know.
CNN.
Dude, you
Who
should
won
go,
the
man.
Democratic debate? Okay, CNN.
Then I can tell you all those secrets.
Yeah,
Are you-
have
are
to
you
tell-
going?
I forgot completely what the secrets were even about. What were the secrets
I
about?
think it had to do with Kyle Cashew.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, tell us the secret. We're on stream now. You gotta tell us the secrets.
Oh yeah, totally. That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Tell us all the juicy deets you got on Kai.
No, I can't do that.
Real nuance. Tell us.
It's not right. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, and he's kind of a little shit, and he lies about
Really,
it.
I don't know anything about him whatsoever.
Ask
Yeah, give us
anybody
some
who's
dirt.
kind of like worked around him, and none of them like him. I had some people from TP USA come up to me, and I was like, "Hey, you guys work with? Oh, like, what do you think?" And they're like, nah.
It's funny. That's hilarious. I do feel bad about him losing.
So all the Mitch McConnell stuff that they were talking about, they were basically saying, this is something that I predicted on a stream a while back, Sitch, that you we're getting into a situation where you can't get any Supreme Court justices unless the party controls both the Senate and the presidency.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen in the future from now on.
That's horrible.
Forever. I know.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. They're literally asking questions about that in the Democratic debate. They're saying, listen, you're not going to get any, like, don't brag about the justices you're going to get passed. You ain't getting no justices past Mitch McConnell. Beto, you think Spanish is going to work on Mitch McConnell? Ha! You're going to laugh in your face. God, they have the most evil picture of Mitch McConnell.
Pat wins the presidency. I wouldn't be surprised if they win the Senate too.
Oh my God.
Yeah. When you think about it, I think Scalia, like, you know, people think of him of like this like radical person, but he got approved, I think 98-0 in the Senate back in the day.
Right. But I think back in the day it was a lot more. Wait, wasn't Scalia because the person they put before Scalia, Bork, right?
Cloud,
I think so, yeah.
Let new data integrate with data from our existing systems. Be able to pull from
So that makes sense that they would replace, because Bork was the guy who survived the Nixon's Saturday night or Sunday night massacre. So that actually makes a lot of sense that after Bork they would vote in whoever, you know, with high voting.
Yeah, even though Scalia is like, I mean, I'd say Scalia is a better justice than Bork. Bork doesn't even think the Second Amendment protects an individual right.
Really? Well, I mean, Scalia's crazy though. He thinks the devil. He thinks the devil is real, like a real person that wanders around.
Well, that's most religious people in this country.
I don't know. I don't think most people in this country that are religious think the devil is a physical entity, mind controlling individual people.
Yeah. Have you seen polling on this?
I haven't. I'm about to be very upset now.
This is,
I mean,
this
dude,
is institutional.
You'd be surprised
breakdown,
at how many Americans believe witches are real and like all kinds of weird things.
Well, doesn't make it right. Anyways, Mike the Bike for $2 says, if they kill Biden, Dems will lose to Trump. I don't think Biden has any chance against Trump whatsoever.
Not at all.
So
yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that.
There's a devastating...
Biden will get destroyed by Trump.
Yeah, there's a devastating argument that Scott Adams makes about how everything that you want to throw at Trump, you can no longer throw at Trump because of if Biden is the candidate. Like, you want to say Trump is this lecherous, you know, grab him by the crotch, but Biden has all these clips online of him doing the exact same thing. So that takes that argument off the tape. You want to say like Trump is this doddering old white man, right? Like
who's racist.
So's your candidate. Yeah, you want to say that he's racist. Biden is like literally worked with like the Southern segregationists. Yeah, exactly. So everything that you want to throw at Trump, immediately Biden takes off the table, which just, that seems like a devastating argument to me. Like, what are you
And despite all that, he still has like the highest black support.
Right, but I think a lot of that's just name recognition.
That's what I think it is too, is mostly name recognition.
Right, it's all name recognition at this point.
Yeah, as they were saying, you know, Trump was at 1% before the first debate. So we'll see how things start to shift now.
Oh, this is the worst picture ever.
What are you looking at?
Vox is just four winners and three losers from the first night of the Democratic debate. Winner Cory Booker.
I told you. I fucking told you.
He had the most time.
Winner.
Wait, four winners, 3 losers. There was 10 people on stage.
Winner Elizabeth Warren. This is Vox's. Winner Julián Castro.
Oh, did I not predict exactly?
And next one's de Blasio, right?
Winner Bill de Blasio.
I mean, everybody knows this.
Called it. Oh, but they gave Beto a loser slot.
Beto O'Rourke.
I would not have expected that.
Vox has decreed. We didn't like your Spanish. Loser, the Iran deal. What?
Oh, it's not even a person.
Loser, awkward Spanish. What? When Vox News is calling out Beto O'Rourke's Spanish as awkward, you got big problems. Big problems.
So this will be interesting because if the left jumps on Beto for Spanish before the right has time to attack him for it, maybe they won't like him for it. They'll jump on the pandering train. Interesting.
I'll tweet out the picture that's just too. Oh my God. I got to throw a hilarious emoji in there.
You're talking about the picture Vox used for the headline?
I'm talking about the picture of they're like all cackling at one another.
Yeah, it's got
Cory,
Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, and Castro, and they're like all cackling at each other.
Yeah.
So in a circle. It's a very strange picture.
It is totally bizarre. It's like, oh my God, nobody asked about your DNA test. You've made it.
You made it. Trump's going to bring it up if she wins. It's going to be devastating.
He's going to throw it at her, the test. Take it on stage, spit in that vial right now.
Oh my God.
Every question. Going to bring it back to that. James Beach for $2 says, you think the audience was mostly Democratic partisans? Of course. I'm assuming the only people.
How it is.
Yeah, I'm assuming the only people that got in were people that had connections, and the only people that would pay $4,000 to go to this event would be, big time donor people. So,
hey, if we get another $5 super chat requesting this, I will do my Pete Buttigieg impression of him doing Norwegian at the next debate.
What? You speak Norwegian? That's awesome.
Ja, jeg snakker veldig bra norsk.
Oh my God.
Wow. Where did this happen? I think I saw you do this in a video once,
bro.
actually.
Yeah, I posted it on Twitter, actually. I think I was at like a rally thing, and someone was like, oh, I went to Nor. I'm like, oh, do you speak Norwegian? And I started speaking
You were showing off for that girl. I remember.
Oh, yeah, I was flexing hard.
Oh,
you were flexing hard.
Flexing those Duolingo skills.
Oh
I
my
see what's
God.
going on here.
Oh my God. Cosmopolitan has a headline: a random smattering of pointless questions asked on Google during the debate, right? Guess what the number one is?
What?
How tall
What did they say in Spanish?
How tall is Julián Castro? Dun dun dun. If you gotta ask, you ain't tall enough, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Holy shit, they have the heights here.
Oh,
we may
including
actually
Julián
find
Castro?
out. No, Julián Castro. I don't know. He hasn't said. No way. It is top secret. Cory Booker, 6'2". Bill de Blasio, 6'5". Julián Castro, IDK. John Delaney, unclear. Tulsi Gabbard,
you can
5'8".
look on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just Googling the numbers. That's what they're doing.
Right. You can look on Google Trends tomorrow, and you're gonna see Julián Castro height. It's gonna be like a giant spike.
Oh, number 2 is Beto Latino. Does Cory Booker have blue eyes? Number 3.
What
the fuck is this?
I didn't even. Did he? I wasn't even looking.
No, of course not.
What kind of question is that?
Did Cory Booker and Beto O'Rourke speak Spanish during the debate? God, this really drew people in. Maybe it was genius.
Maybe. Well, I don't know.
Please send me that link to Twitter.
This is, I thought, number 6 is Hawaiian Democrat. And when they introduced her as the congressman, the Hawaiian congressman, I thought they introduced her as the lion congressman. Like the lion congresswoman.
That on purpose. It's all part of the plan.
Yeah, exactly. What's she lying about? Okay, number 7. Who is Cory Booker's girlfriend? This is hilarious.
Oh, it's like that actress chick, isn't it?
See, Google knows what's important. Google knows what's important to people because they know what people go to Google. Like I searched for Julián Castro's height like 25 times. I'm going deep, man. I'm on page 5
those results
here.
were probably like 50% you.
They might have been. They might have been. They might have been. We still don't know though. I'm glad Cosmo
And the entire
actually let
audience,
us know.
you
that
asked us, so then they all go
That's
out
right.
and start Googling it.
Julián
Cory
Castro.
Booker's girlfriend is Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Yeah. The girl from Clerks 2 and
What?
Daredevil.
And Sin City, man. Come on, at least she's in some good movies.
And Sin City. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Andrew Cruz for Two Canadians says this debate was not as good as the Watchmen ending. Yeah, I'm gonna assume you meant the comic book ending. Okay. Did you finish the comic, Adam? Are you done?
I still haven't. No, I got one
Oh,
chapter
God.
left.
You're right on the precipice.
I know. I am so close.
Right there. It's not gonna have the same impact because you already know what happens. So.
Yeah. Since I've already debated it, I feel like I'm a little biased.
You've already biased, yeah. A Very Dead Horse for 199 says, "Go to Politicon. I'll take you out for beers after." Okay. It's when is Politicon? It's like in August, right? Or October?
October. Yeah.
See, is it in California? Because I feel like if it's in Los Angeles, I really have no excuse.
No, it usually is.
Oh, it's in
but this-
Tennessee.
They're doing it in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville's kind of cool. Maybe I will go. I don't know.
Maybe.
I've never been. I'd like to check it out.
I try to do 5 vacations a year or so.
Really?
It's quite a bit.
Democratic debate highlights. Candidates make forceful case for. Guess we'll never know. Did we
I
get
don't
through
feel
all
like
the super
anyone
chats?
did anyone make any like policy prescriptions that stood out to you? Because I can't even think of anything important anyone said.
Yeah, it was just all It was mostly
Not really.
platitudes.
I'm gonna take a break real quick, you guys. I'll be right back.
All right, cool. The Pit Zajat for $2 says Latinos vote Republican if their relatives are legal. Yeah, some of them do. Latino culture definitely is more conservative minded stereotypically than liberal. The
Black
caffeine
culture is
tweet-
actually pretty conservative minded. Believe it or not. But they vote extremely Democrat. But
Right.
for example, on something like gay marriage, they
don't think-
vote.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't tell if I was just not hearing you because I keep cutting out. But no,
No,
you're right. But I don't think that the Republicans will ever be able to overcome the hurdle of the civil rights era stuff.
What do you mean Republicans voted for the civil rights? They were the ones voting for everything in the civil rights era.
No, that's when the whole Southern strategy thing started.
No. You go look at the Civil Rights
That's when
Act,
the-
and in
that's when the-
proportion,
Perception of the civil rights stuff started, whether it actually happened or not. That's
I mean,
way
the
it's
major
perceived.
segregationists were Southern Democrats.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then that's when they kind of like kicked them all out.
Not really. I mean, like the ones even the ones that Joe Biden was talking about, like those were segregationist Democrats that he was working with. You know, the
I know,
only
but-
one who really changed over was Strom Thurmond, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but like most of them didn't change. They didn't change their party affiliation. But what happened was when the Democrats or the Dixiecrats, I guess as they were called, or whoever, when the pro-segregationist Democrats like left office or died, they almost were all replaced by Republican candidates after that point.
I don't know about almost all, but I think that's typically the case. Yeah, I mean, over time for sure.
Right. So I'm saying that's the perception is right now, and I don't see that shifting anytime soon, is that the Republican Party is the racist party. And I
Oh,
don't
there's
see how-
definitely like that stigma that the Republicans are the racist ones. I remember I
Right.
grew up with, I was born and raised in San Francisco, so that was very strong.
Exactly. So I don't see how they could possibly overcome that. I don't think Candace Owens' Brexit is gonna help the
Oh
cause.
God, please. You're going to make me rant for like 2 hours on Kansas.
Don't you think if you burn the flag, you should be deported from the country? Don't you think that's what should happen? Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, and she wasn't even talking about the amendment. She was literally like in the mentions, in the comment she was talking about, well, the First Amendment isn't unlimited. Like you can't shout fire in a crowded theater. I'm like, oh my God, she has no understanding of First Amendment jurisprudence whatsoever.
Of course not. She's just fucking throwing red meat to her bait. That tweet got 80,000 people liked the idea that you should be deported from the country for burning the American flag.
Average IQ 77.
There you go. Maybe that's convinced me that there should be IQ tests for voting.
Maybe.
Caffeine Tweaker for 2 Canadians says the debate looked like a game show. Who won the car?
Kind of.
It did have that game show vibe going on. Writer John Buck for another $5. Oh, you got to do your impression. Says Barna, 4 out of 10 Christians. Oh, okay. 4 out of 10 Christians do not think the devil is real. Gallup says 61% of Americans do believe in the devil. 27% do not.
Boom. Proven
But
right.
wait a minute. I think there's a difference between saying you believe the devil is real and believing the devil is like a dude that walks around like whispering evil thoughts into your
when
ear.
did Scalia say he was a physical dude?
He did. He said specifically. He said he thought because Scalia said he ponders how come in our digital age no one's been able to take a picture of the devil, and it must be because because he thinks that all the sightings of the devil and possessions back in the day were all legitimate, like in the Bible. He thinks those all really happened, and that the devil has stopped possessing people because he doesn't want to get caught on camera.
You sure about that? I don't know.
Look it up.
Well, either way, real, physical doesn't fucking matter. Like people believe that the devil, possesses people, so that could be the devil in person. So
I assumed maybe it was my optimism, but I assumed most people thought of the devil as like a metaphysical concept or a metaphorical concept.
No, they believe he physically like possesses people, and they have to like say get out of the body and stuff like that. And
see, that's what I would be curious.
So the $5 super chat thing was only if someone specifically requested.
No. You didn't say that.
No, that's what I said.
No, you didn't.
I did say that.
Do it.
I said if someone wants it and they donate $5.
Yeah, do it.
Okay, fine. I don't mind. Okay, I'll say jag heter Pete Buttigieg. Jag kommer från South Bend, Indiana. Jag bor i USA. Tusen tack. That's it.
There you go. Pete Buttigieg, everybody.
Oh, and du ger mig stöd när jag tänker på dig.
What'd you say?
I said, du ger mig stöd när jag tänker på dig.
Oh, is that what he said?
No, it was a joke. It means you give me shock when I think about you.
I see.
It's from a popular song.
Wait, is this Mike Yingling for 199 has a message for you? Do you see it?
No, I don't see. What is it?
I can't read it. It's in.
Oh, hold on.
Some not American language.
What?
Let me. Probably gonna disappear by the time I find it.
Only American on this in our chat.
No, we accept money from all peoples.
Oh yeah.
Do you want me to just send it to you on Twitter? That'd be easier.
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't see your stream on. It's not on. Is it on Adam's channel?
No, it's on my second channel. But I just DM'd it to you. I'm waiting for you to say. I don't know what the fuck this
Det är
is.
sant du snackar väldigt bra norska. Oh, he's saying it. You speak very good Norwegian.
There you go.
Oh,
He approves.
wow. Interesting.
Thank you, Mike. Well, it's 12:20.
Många tack.
You have any closing statements, Adam?
Well, I think I agree with Trump that this was boring.
Yeah, it's pretty boring. I will agree.
But I do think the hot takes were
The second
interesting.
debate's going to have a lot more fireworks. Hopefully, if they go after Biden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did find one hot take where they were already talking about the dude interrupting.
Who? John Delaney?
De Blasio.
Oh.
De Blasio
telling you.
interrupting everyone.
That's
So-
going to be on Vox tomorrow.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. White privilege. White, straight male privilege right there. Boom. Height privilege, too.
There it is. There it is.
All right, everyone. Tune in tomorrow when we do. We're going to do again, right? We're going to do.
The same thing. That's right.
Yeah.
Same time, same kablam time, same kablam place.
Let us know in the
Right
comments
here.
if you want us to pause. I think we probably will pause, right?
Probably will.
But not
Nuance,
too long.
Closing thoughts?
Got to make quick comments. Nuance? What do you think?
What?
Any of these-
What's closing
any
thoughts on the debate?
Closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts on the debate. It was just very unbearable, other than the Spanish speaking. Nobody really stood out. I think the four people that we said did well. They're going to get some bumps in the polls. I think people did kind of poorly and very unmemorable. The only reason they would get any bump in the polls is simply for name recognition, because they were only polling at 1% anyway to begin with, but that will soon die out. And I think we're going to see some people resign from the campaign probably within the next 2 or 3 months. Easy.
2 or 3 months? I was thinking like 48 hours.
I was like, 48 hours? I don't know about that, but it's possible.
You don't...
I think they would at least wait for polling numbers to come out before they announce something like that. And 48 hours isn't really enough time.
A week. We'll give it a week.
Yeah. They're going to have polls out. They're going to do tomorrow night, and they're going to do a slew of polls after tomorrow night's debate.
Right.
Yeah. There's going to be new polls out. They're going to be like,
It's
you're
gonna be fun,
dead.
guys.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks all for coming. Thank you all for the super chats. I don't know if I could turn this off, though.
You have to click the button on your end. I can't click the button on mine. We have very professional endings here, Nuance, bro.
My button just disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. It's gone.
Come on.
I found it.
Are you gaslighting us? I have a button
I'm
over
gaslighting
here.
you.
I can press my
100%
button.
gaslighting you. All right. Anyways, thanks everyone. See you tomorrow.
We're still live.
Take care.